before the students leave, before the students leave, I just want to say, hello? Yes. Before the students leave, I just want to say we are extremely proud of this choir. This is Vista del Lago High School Choir. And we're thrilled that you are singing the way you're doing it. So you deserve a huge round of applause from everybody here in the audience. Would you please join me? And once again, this is just one example of how the district is putting a lot of emphasis in visual and performing arts throughout the entire district. Choir is just one of the disciplines. There are many others, and we are very proud of the students because they are singing here tonight, but they also represent the school and the district in many different places, many different locations, many different venues. So, you know, they're putting the name of the district very, very high. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you to the parents if they are here, and thank you to the choir director, Ms. Merrigan. So thank you so much. You also deserve a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, students. Thank you. Okay, with that, the Board of Education reconvenes into open session at 7:08 p.m. And I want to say to all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us this evening. For whatever reason you're here tonight, to get a recognition or to provide some information or to hear just information about the district, thank you so much for your interest. And I know you're going to get a lot of information this evening. And I want to say also thank you to my colleagues here for joining everybody here this evening, for the superintendent and his entire team and everybody who's working to make sure this meeting goes smooth. There's some people in the little room over there. They're also working. So thank you so much for police department for being here. So thank you all for allowing for this meeting to take place. So with that, can we have roll call, please?
Student representative from Canyon Springs High School here.
Daryl Peden, present.
Susan Smith, present.
Marcia Locke, present.
C.J. Johnson, present.
Jesus Holguin, present.
Martin Rex Kedzior, present.
Robert Verdi, present.
Susanna Lopez, present.
Maribel Maddox, present.
Thank you so much. Earlier this evening, the Board of Education opened the meeting to convene into closed session to discuss board deliberation regarding student discipline cases, public employee employment appointment, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, non-reelects, conference with labor negotiator, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, and settlement of claims. That discussion took place in closed session. There's nothing to report out of that discussion. Next item, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance and Inspiration, and those will be led by Ethan De La Rosa, Student Board Representative from Canyon Springs High School. Would you please lead us, Ethan?
Can everyone please stand up and place their hand over their heart? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for my inspiration. And my inspiration is a quote from John Locke, which states, "No man's knowledge here can go beyond his experience." Now, the reason I chose this inspiration is because I feel like everyone always has an opportunity to learn through experience, even today.
Thank you, Mr. Del Rosa. So next item on the agenda is dates of future board meetings. Next board meetings, September 24, we have closed session at 5 p.m., open session at 7 p.m. October 8, closed session at 5, open session at 7 p.m. October 15, open session at 5 p.m. That is a study session, and the topic is student achievement. October 29, we have closed session and open session at 7 p.m. November 5, open session at 5. That is another study session. The topic is student discipline, and all the meetings will be conducted here in this room. Okay, next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Katsura, please.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Sometimes I look out there and I think, why are they here? Like Diana Manuel, what are you doing here tonight? You brought your husband too, didn't you? I'm like, well, I'm glad you're here. You're retired, and you just wanted to come back and visit, or? Oh, that's your relative. So you never know who's related to each other. Okay. I was wondering why you were sitting by her, but I should have known. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. And I want you to know this is not the recognitions. This is simply what's been happening in the district since August 6th, since the last board meeting. There are people who say to me, why did you leave this out? Why did you leave that out? This is a long report. I shared some of it today, but I just want you to know there's so many great things that happened. This is the easiest thing to put together. And we just are so proud of the children in our district. I can't tell you to see you tonight back here and how you're going to give your student reports. And I want you to know you helped us to lift to rise. That's our theme this year. Because without you, we would not rise. And you lift us every time we see you. So I want to thank you for your courage. I know when you walk up to that microphone tonight, you're going to be a little nervous. But don't be. Just enjoy yourself, because it's truly an honor that you're here with us this evening. So our mission statement in our district is that we want every student to graduate from high school. We want every student to go to college or be prepared for a career or both. And that's all the things that we do. Our goals and our outcomes are all related to that. So in the district, there are 11 commitments that every employee and every person that we come in contact with, we talk about. We want people to know their why. We want people to have good manners. We want people to listen to understand. We want people to have fun. That's the last one, the 11th one. But we want people to know that many people do different things in our district that are exemplary. So tonight, I want to ask two people to come forward. And one is Virgie Smith. And I see you sitting there by Diana Manuel, and I had no idea you were related to her, but I should have known. And so would you please come forward? Would y'all give her a round of applause? You don't know what she did yet. And then Pauline Sanchez, who is a bus driver in our district. And is she here? Oh, there you. Okay, Pauline, are you going to come up here? Now, Virgie, I want you to. You had done this before, so I want y'all to go in front of that microphone there. You and Pauline. Yeah. So I want you to know that on August 14th, it was the first day of school, and we had something happen that we wished wouldn't have happened. But what I want to focus on this evening is the heroism of these two individuals. So Miss Virgie, as they call her, I want to call you Miss Virgie, yeah. But Miss Virgie is an instructional assistant at Valley View High School. Miss Johnson, thank you for being here. She's the principal. Miss Johnson, you want to wave at everybody? And Pauline Sanchez is the bus driver that was transporting students that day. And Jim Burleson, he's sitting there. He's the transportation director, and thank you for being here this evening. But one of the things we ask people to reflect on is always start with your why, and continue to reflect on your why. When you're an educator, we know what we do, but why we do what we do is so much more important. I want the district and the community to know that each of you display and possess exceptional why. And what you've done for children long before this, and what you did that day, demonstrated real courage and real heroism in a very challenging situation. And Miss Virgie, I want you to know that the day I was at the hospital, and you told me you were going to go back to class the next day when Ms. Johnson and I were there, and you said, I'm going to go stay on the assignments for Gina, and I'm going to make sure when she comes back to school that she's going to be caught up, and she's going to be. And then I heard that every night you made sure, her father made sure that her homework was done. And so I just think your dedication to students, your dedication to our community. And you went to the hospital on your own. No one told you to. And you were there more than other people. And I just commend you for that, and thank you for what you provide in the service to our community. And Mrs. Sanchez, I've wanted to come over to the bus place and meet you before tonight. I told Jim I was going to come over, but I never did. But I just want you to know, when I heard about what happened on your bus that day and what you did that day, was just exemplary. And we are so fortunate to have people who care about our kids so much. And I just want to thank you for everything you've done and have done. And I don't know if you want to say anything. I know you're probably thinking, "Oh my goodness, I don't want to talk," but I just want you to know that your heroism just cannot be overlooked, and you just have to know how much you mean. And I just want to thank you and praise you and let you know that you're just amazing individuals.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to say something? I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to, okay?
My heart goes out to the parents and their family. We don't need all that. Thank you.
I want to thank you very much for acknowledging me. I saw pictures of you, seeing you, and also when I saw you there, I thought that was very special. And also the board members, thank you very much for being there also at the funeral. It's a teamwork. It's teamwork. And we do care for our students. And parents were very strong, and all is well. All is well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you both for being here tonight. And Diane Emanuel, I knew you had a wonderful family, but now I'm even more impressed. So thank you very much. I want to welcome everyone back to school. You know, school started on August 14th, and these are some of the pictures from that day. You may not recognize some of the people. SpongeBob is sitting over there. This was Superman right here beside me. And, people had on different costumes, and we're just out there greeting students, and creates a culture of real fun, and our 11th commitment have fun, but really welcoming students back and making them feel like what's happening is just very special. And since many of you weren't there that day, we have a short video I'd like for you to see, because it really captures what happened on the first day of school.
What I'm looking forward to is to have a good year. I'm most excited about coming back to school because I get to see my friends and do work. Yeah. My favorite subject is math because I just like numbers.
I'm excited going back to school. This year I'm most excited about science. When the kids ask me something, is that be super exciting because the kids are super nice.
This year I'm excited about math.
Schools have had different displays, And this is one from Midland Elementary School that they had decorated in their office. And you'll see these more and more. I was at Serrano Elementary School today. I took pictures of something they had up just like that. But thank you, schools and the community, for embracing this theme. I want you to know that we have, one of the things about our district is we are lifting to rise, but we have excellence on purpose, and we're shining brighter. We're very fortunate to be one of 2 finalists for 2 Golden Bell Awards. It's not official yet. There's a validation visit coming, but there were 253 applications received this year. And 2 of those, we submitted 3. That's the most a district can submit. But 2 of those were selected from Moreno Valley Unified School District. One of them being the Wellness Center, where Connie Edwards oversees that, and the Student Services team. And I think some of them are here tonight, is Dr. Sheffield and Rafael Garcia, and they're not in here. Dr. Sheffield. Dr. Sheffield, you should stand up or something. We applied for 3, 1 in wellness, 1 in visual and performing arts, and 1 in professional development and digital learning. And Dr. Buster is here this evening, and she oversees professional development and digital learning. And you want to stand up? Okay. And all those professional development specialists that are here tonight, Emmy Glancy, Miss Dr. Ahmad, thank you for being here. So this is a big deal, and our district is going to get, hopefully through the validation visit that's going to happen before October 11th. But these are programs that were not present in our district before the LCAP was instituted in 2014. There were iterations of them, but the programs that exist today were a direct result of the Local Control Accountability Plan. And this is what our stakeholders asked for. And so 2 of those programs are going to get visits and get through the process. And we're not official yet, but I wanted you to anticipate with excitement as we are about this. Can we give those 2 programs a big round of applause? And then Success for All, which is a national foundation. You can look this up, with over 25 years of vetted experience in reading. Bob Slavin, Dr. Bob Slavin, chose our district and Baltimore City Schools to begin a research grant in 2nd and 3rd grades, working with the lowest readers in our district. So we have 23 elementary schools. 11 elementary schools will get the treatment, 12 won't. There'll be a control group. But this is very exciting that we were chosen out of 2 districts. Bob Slavin, Dr. Bob Slavin, is not next door. He's in Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. He flew out here one day, met with me and Dr. Buster and different people from our team. And Glenn Allegre, I think you were in there, were you? No. Okay. Well, you could have been. I think you were on vacation. But, we're very proud of this. And I think we need to know that we're one of 2 districts in many areas where we're selected. And there's a reason why they select us. It's because of what's happened in the past with our grants and our foundation work. So we're very proud of that. We have another one, the Hewlett Foundation. This is huge. You're going to start hearing more about this. There's Mrs. Arcee. She's sitting over there beaming, and Dr. Buster and Mr. Holguin. They were part of a convening and Mr. Allegre, you were there at this one. And Harold Acord was there. They asked for specific people. They interviewed me for over 3 hours. Dr. Steinbeck from Moreno Valley College was there. Nobody had an Institute of Higher Ed but us, thank you. And they chose 10 districts in California. This is a national organization, and they're a foundation that wants to transform public education. And so we were being vetted through this process. They were watching us working together. And the lady that was working with us, Gia, said, "I can't believe how nice y'all are to each other." She said, "Are you really this nice to each other?" And I think a lot of it has to do with we've had a lot of conflicts with each other. So you know how when your family gets together and you say, "Be nice tonight," and then you do that, and then people are like, "Are you really this nice with each other?" But when we met another school district that they paired us up with, we realized how good we were. And so I just want you to know, there were 10 districts they chose out of 1,100 in California that they wanted to see if we would come up with something. So we're having a planning meeting. There's going to be a lot more voice in this from different people in our district. You'll be hearing from different grant writers that are meeting with us. And we're going to submit a proposal by October 31st at 5 p.m. when it's due that will transform what we believe our district and our community. So this is very exciting, isn't it, Dr. Steinbeck? Yeah, and it's such a unique opportunity, you know, like to be chosen and be one of the 10. And, you know, they don't just choose districts that don't have something going on. So I want you to know, you people, you students who go here, you're the reason why they chose us, what you do. So we're very proud of that. We're looking forward to see where this is headed, but thank you so much. I want to recognize Jim Burleson tonight. He's our Director of Transportation, and he sent me a text yesterday, and he's been working on this, but this is a $200,000 grant utilized to fuel 28 California natural gas school buses in our district. He's really innovative, entrepreneurial, and what we're looking for is to increase services and support to our entire district and become more, be a hub for other districts. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank Susanna Lopez, and this work is happening, and it's state of the art, it's groundbreaking, it's revolutionary, it's part of what we do. And so y'all need to give him a big round of applause. Now, I know there's a lot of parents in the audience and a lot of people that are watching, but, you know, everybody took what they call it in grades 3 through 11 last year, a CAS test, right, Mr. Peoples? And so we inform people about looking at your child's test scores and you looking at them. Have you all looked at your scores? If you were in 11th grade last year, did you look at them? Were you excited what you saw? Okay. So, you know, students perform in different ways on them, but there's one measure of how students are performing, and we always look at those, and we want those to get better, and they actually did this year. And you're going to hear more about that at the study session that Mr. Holguin talked about. I want you to know we're very excited. People come to our district. Quali Leonard, I'm sure you heard about this, and it was very exciting at Cloverdale Elementary School that day. And he is going to, now Claudia has been emailing every day to the Clippers about where the other backpacks are. So they're coming. You know, they just hadn't gotten here yet, so everybody's going to get one. And then, I don't know if we're recognizing this student tonight. Is she here? Jaylene Martinez, is she here tonight? From Canyon Springs High School. She is going to come to a board meeting. But she won a gold medal, and this was in the newspaper. She's an 11th grade student. She went to Italy to compete in mixed martial arts. She's on the U.S. national team. She's the first place of 7 girls and also competes in Muay Thai. Third year with Canyon Springs High School wrestling team. And she says, I'm not afraid to get punched and kicked, and I tell the guys I work out with not to be afraid to give me their all. It just helps me become a better fighter. So isn't she something? She's going to be at our next board meeting. And then, I don't know if anybody's here from Canyon Springs tonight, are they? Canyon Springs High School? Oh, yeah, there y'all are. Isn't this beautiful what y'all have done there? I think you have such good branding, and I'm really proud of what you're doing to tell the community what a school you are and how much you care about what's happening there. So this is their new athletic banner, which represents Canyon's core values, responsibility, integrity, and grit, and it'll be on display throughout this year. And Donna Woods, aren't you proud of this? Yeah. I mean, and, you know, Miss Remington, aren't you proud of it? Yeah, I mean, y'all are sitting there like I'm not talking about you, you know. So, and then another program we're proud of, we always mention a career technical education pathway. And one of our schools, you know, Canyon Springs High School, has a business pathway. And it prepares students for starting their own business, great public speaking skills. Students not only learn business skills, but also how to work as a team and soft skills. And there's going to be a validation visit for the California Partnership Academies on Tuesday, August 8th for a model California program from the California Department of Education. And I know they're going to get this award. And you are to be so proud as a community because this is the kind of programs that exist in our school. And, you know, there's just one right after the other that demonstrates that they're gold status. I mean, it's amazing. So another thing that Mr. Holguin talked about tonight was growing the arts. And I want you to know we met with the foundation on Saturday morning. Mr. Holguin was there at 7. I arrived later at 8 a.m. And there are people that want to help us grow the arts in our district, and this is part of it. And you'll hear more about that. They don't, like this guy lived in Ventura County, and he drove all the way out here at 7 a.m. to talk about Moreno Valley because he believes that we're poised to be an arts district, that people will be looking to. The next thing that happened, I don't know if you were there on September the 4th, but 150 Freedom Riders, this was the launch of Aaron Gurrell's new book. That's the relaunch after 20 years. And everyone that was there that night got their own book. And Aaron Gurrell was there, and you can see that there were different board members there. Ms. Smith was there, weren't you there?
I was there, and I was happy to be there.
Yeah, and Mr. Peden was there. And Mr. Johnson, were you there? You were. And what was Mr. Holguin was there. So he wanted to be there, I think. But anyway, that was a great evening and wonderful thing. Mr. Peden, since he's come on our Board of Education, has asked for different opportunities for our students. And Catalina, you were there that night. Thank you for coming. And the census is coming, and so one of the things we're doing is, you can see, we're getting ready for it. It happens in March, and so we have a lot of a voice that's going to happen with that. So I want you to be looking forward to helping with that, and thank you, Mr. Peden, for bringing that to us. I want you to know I was very honored on, I don't know what day this was, August 18th, oh, there it is, to get the Community Impact Award from Living Way Christian Fellowship. And you can see in that photograph there that I think every board member was there. You were there, but you weren't in the picture, were you? Where is he in there?
In the back of the right.
Oh, there you are, yeah.
I was visiting Montana.
I just want you to know that the board is really proud of what happens here, and they come to everything. So thank you very much. Then I want to thank the community. I don't know if you were at the community football game between Canyon Springs and Vista del Lago last week, but the stands on one side were full, Mr. Johnson, and we're working on the other side for the next game, Ms. Johnson. I know you're going to have a game that same night, but I want you to send some people over there to just look at it. So on November the 1st, Moreno Valley High School is playing Vista del Lago High School. So I hope you all come to that if you missed the last one. Dr. Steinbeck, Dr. Gravine, we'd love to see you at a game. Thank you. We held the district walkthroughs on Thursday, September 5th, and this is where we have teams of people that go around the entire district to look at our schools and make sure that what we expect to have happen is happening. And I want you to know, I went to Bear Valley and I went to Mountain View Middle School, and I could not have been more proud that day of what I saw in those schools. Ms. Holguin, you were working with a student, do you remember that? And you didn't even want to talk to me because you were so surgical about what was happening. So I just want to thank you for what you do, but I want to thank everyone because we really saw some amazing opportunities that day for students, so thank you. There's a parent project Dr. Sheffield's beginning. It's a 10-week session, and it starts on September 26th, and I want to invite parents and encourage them to attend. We have a Spanish parent workshop that's beginning. That sessions will be conducted in Spanish, and we have also Live a Healthier Life. These are offered through our English Language Learner Department, and you may contact, there's a number on there, Rose Marino, to sign up for those, but we want you to come. Tomorrow we're going to be commemorating September 11th, and this is at 8 a.m. at our district. And we hope you'll join us. We did this last year for the first time, but we do believe that it's important for students and families in our community to know how proud we are of what people did that day and what we've done since to be united as citizens to work together. And then on September 18th, there's the 20th Annual Historically Black Colleges and Universities Fair that we've held for the past 5-6 years in our district, and students get scholarships on the spot. And we encourage everyone to attend. You do not have to be African American to attend. Any student can attend, and they are very eager to talk to people and have them go to college at these historical institutions. And we have students that go to them, so we're very proud of that, and they graduate from them too. But they offer scholarships on the spot. Dr. Buster is here this evening, and Dr. Buster, I know you're proud of this. The MVUSD STEAM Innovators Summit. Is this the first time this has happened? And we're very proud of that. And this is one of the reasons why we're being considered for a Golden Bell. But I want you to know these sessions are full, aren't they, Dr. Buster? So if you want to get in, you can go on a waiting list. It's like concert tickets. Everybody can't go, but they're having a lunar rock certification, and they're having breakout sessions, a keynote speaker, and it's going to be, a real powerful Saturday. Then I want you to know that our theme this year is Lift to Rise. You see it at different places, our leadership theme. I got the opportunity. I was asked by Jennifer Covington, who is in the reserves, and she's a third grade teacher at Seneca Elementary School, to go on this National Guard, U.S. Air Force ride in the sky. And I didn't know really what I was going to. I had to get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. And they had to, make us all, check in. But, I didn't get to fly till 11 o'clock. What did I do for 5 hours, Talk to people. But it was a really exciting day. You can see I'm in the cockpit up there. Mario Perez, who's the principal at Seneca, was also there. But Jennifer Covington brought the sign Lift to Rise because she said, I wanted you to have a picture with this. And that's exactly why I did it. And I took this theme to an even higher level. And that's what I wanted you to know is I took it to the sky, and that's what I want you to do this year. I'm really proud of our facilities, and I just tell you every time I go somewhere, Miss Brown, I know you're proud of Moreno Valley High School. Can you give a little shout there? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You go into her college and career center, and you don't even know you're at the same school. It is absolutely beautiful in there. I want to thank all the people that helped with that. And then the new Moreno Elementary School that you'll see rising at the corner of Nason and Bay. And it's going to, right now that school currently has about 450 students, but with this new building, they'll be able to enroll up to 800 students or more. So we're very proud of that. And then a lot of people have been asking for shade, and I'm really excited to tell you that these Head Start facilities all got shade. And we're working on shade at more places. So we know it's hot outside. Oh, yeah, we're getting it, y'all. Yeah, it's hot. Now, some schools are giving you umbrellas, and some schools are giving you water when it's hot. May not be your school, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Nancy Albee at Moreno Elementary, she served water to her entire community the other day. It made them feel so cool. And she said, you can go in the staff lounge if you want to, and they said, no, this water is fine. It just takes so little to be above average, but we're very proud of that. And then Vista del Lago High School is Mr. Swan. There you are. Yeah. They have a new Marine Corps ROTC program there, and I want you to know it's amazing what's happening there. It's the conversion of 5 existing portables, and we got to walk in that at back to school night, and they're going to have a range where they practice. And of course, it's not going to have, what's that stuff called? It's not going to have real ammunition. It's air stuff, So. Anyway, that's very exciting at that school. And isn't that program up to like 200 students or 190 or how many are in it now? 100. There's 100. 101, yeah. That's excellent, yeah. And then, because it's a new program and it'll catch up. And then we're having a ribbon cutting for all the canopies that you see in the district. You see more of those going up different places to reduce our electricity costs. The general fund and power purchase agreement helped fund this, and March Mountain High School and Vista del Lago. And so at Landmark on October 15th at 9:30, there's going to be a ribbon cutting for what's happened with these. And I hope you'll all join me on Saturday at your house, Dr. Steinbeck, at Moreno Valley. Sunday. I'm just making sure everybody's listening. Sunday, September. You can come on Saturday and help set up. But on Sunday, September 15th from 4 to 9 is El Grito. This is a joint partnership between Moreno Valley College, the city of Moreno Valley, and Moreno Valley School District, and so many other places too. But we're very proud to be part of that, and thank you for hosting us. This is Yellow Ribbon Week. and it's Suicide Awareness Prevention Week, and I'm really proud of Canyon Springs High School. Y'all were there today, right, Donna Woods, and y'all saw all this happening. I love when people send me pictures. They do it, and Gabby Bear, who's the counselor there, sent these to me. I couldn't make it up there, but I'm really proud of all the work that people do to create awareness and support for students. This is a Hispanic Heritage Month. There's a lot of things happening in our schools, and you'll hear more about this in September on the 24th when I bring another report, but there's a lot of things that are happening, and we're very proud of our Hispanic students and the heritage that their families and our community bring to our district. So thank you for that. And then we want to thank Valley View High School. Mrs. Johnson, you did a beautiful job that day to recognize Officer Andre Moy. Is it Moy? Yes, he's Moy. And he was a student in our district. He went to Ridgecrest Elementary, Landmark Middle School, and Valley View High School. He was a band member. And he was loved by many people. His aunt teaches at Ridgecrest Elementary School, Mrs. Davis. And, you know, we're very sad by this, but I just want you to know the district is very proud of him, and we're very proud of what happened at your school that day at Ms. Johnson to honor him. And I just want to thank you. That's you know, a lot, but the recognitions are coming, Dr. Steinbeck. I know that you were here and you're thinking, when does this happen? But it does. And I just want to thank the community for everything they do to lift to rise our district. Ms. Remington, what you do at Canyon Springs High School, all of you help make our district you know, shine brighter with excellence on purpose. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kitsera. Great report as always, and a lot of stuff happening in the district, a lot of things that we all should be proud of. And, you know, we try to support the superintendent in all the sites as much as we can. My colleagues are always there visiting, and you know, you see one of us at all the events throughout the school district. So whenever you want to talk to us, there we are. You're going to find us at those events because we are supporting everything that is happening in the district. So thank you, Dr. Kitsera, for sharing all that information. So next item on the agenda, you know, it's always exciting to go to the sites and see the students in action. And whether it is an elementary school, middle school, high school, an event, sports, arts, whatever it is, it's always great to see the students in action at their sites. But it's always exciting to see the students here at the boardroom. And we have students, high school students, coming to give the reports from the different high schools. We have representatives every year that cover those reports for the entire year. So every year we have different group of students. And this time, tonight, is the first time we have this brand new group of students. So I'm going to take the honor of introducing the new representatives from the different high schools so that you know who is going to be bringing that information for the next few months, and so that we know what is happening at the schools, because even when we visit the schools, there is a lot more happening, and the students do an excellent job of bringing all that information to us. So I'm going to take a minute before they report their information and introduce them to all of you. First, from Canyon Springs High School, you already heard from Ethan De La Rosa. Ethan, would you please give him a big round of applause? Thank you. Welcome, Ethan. Then from Moreno Valley High School, we have Catalina Salazar. And she's the president of the ASB, right? At Moreno Valley High School. So welcome, Catalina. And we've seen you in action already in the last few days, and we're very impressed. So thank you for being here. Valley View High School, Andres Torres. Welcome, Andres. Vista del Lago High School, Aubrey Johnson. Thank you for being here and welcome. Bridges Learning Center, Evangelina Negrete. Thank you for being here. March Mountain Valley, Ruby Alvarez. So again, for the next few months or until the end of the year, you're going to see these students reporting. And if you haven't heard students before, you'll be amazed of how they report from the schools. So at this time, I'm going to ask Ethan, would you please lead us in this item on the agenda, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holguin. So to begin, will the representative from Bridges Learning Center please come forward?
Good morning, board members, Dr. Ketsiora, members of the cabinet, and the community of Moreno Valley. My name is Evangelina Negretti, and I am pleased to announce to you all of the Titan Pride activities that are happening at Bridges Learning Center. Bayside is extremely pleased to continually host our orientations and recruitments for future Titans. Our campus is continually open to new students from throughout the district. We saw many of our new and returning students at our back to school night. It was great to meet parents and show them all of the wonderful things happening at Bridges. We are reflecting on Yellow Ribbon Week, which focuses on suicide prevention. Our ASB has activities planned for every day this week, most importantly, reminding everyone how important it is to be a friend to someone in need. This will be followed by activities for Hispanic Heritage Month. Bayside also just received a gold award for PBIS. Thank you to our staff, our students, for continuing to exhibit Titan Pride by being on time and on task and owning their behavior. October will be a busy month, beginning with our first blood drive sponsored by ASB. Our students work very hard to organize this event and give back to the community with our student blood donations. Our first field trip will be October 9th, when we will go to see Dr. Phil's our show taping. We are very proud to be one of the schools personally recruited by Dr. Phil to be in the studio audience because of our excellent behavior and following his strict dress code. Our counseling department continues to work with Moreno Valley College to give our students an opportunity to pursue higher education. Our counseling department will be taking students to the UCAN College recruitment on September 18th at Moreno Valley High School, where they will be able to speak with college recruiters from all over the nation. These are just some of the wonderful opportunities we have at Bayside. Our school is a small community and to most feels like a second family. I thank you for the opportunity to share. I thank you for caring about our school. Most importantly, I thank you for this opportunity for me to gain public speaking experience. Have a great evening, everyone, and thank you for your attendance.
Will the student representative for March Mountain please come forward?
Howdy. Okay. So, welcome, school board, Dr. Ketsiora, parents, guardians, and community. My name is Jasmine Carrillo.
And I'm Ruby Alvarez.
We are both March Mountain, March Valley Student School Board representatives. And you might be wondering why there's two. It's because we are Joe Biden and Barack Obama together. So. The first day of school was a success for both students and teachers. The whole staff had a huge greeting at the school in the front gate all morning for the students. It was very nice. They were greeting us. Sadly, I missed it because I was late. My bad. Since the first day of school was very hot, we had Kona Ice give out free ice cream to the students, and honestly, it was actually a very memorable day for students. We never had that, and many students got to experience it. Teachers had 3 days to bond with the students to give out shaved ice. Oh, I'm so sorry. Teachers had 3 days to bond with the students by asking them fun and challenging questions to share with the class. We also learned about persevering mindset and how people we didn't expect to used it in their lifetimes, which is pretty inspiring. Miss Handysides, our vice principal, has started a new thing at school called Mindful Minute, where during our second period, we had about a minute to close our eyes and meditate a little to help us leave the bad energy behind us and focus more on our education. Even though it sounds like funeral music, we still leave it. Another way teachers are connecting with students is by having them do activities such as All About You poem. This activity allowed the teachers to get deeper understanding of every student's lifestyle. This was a very huge experience for me because I was in that class and I shared a very deep poem. It was very emotional to see what everyone goes through, and it's a great experience. This is the first year of the no cell phone and no headphone policy, and honestly, I feel like it's going great. Students are more engaged in learning, and it also makes it easier for teachers to explain lessons without interruptions, and so far students have been cooperating with this new rule. August 27th, credit recovery has started. Students have been working very diligently to finish their classes and continue to be determined to complete their work. March Mountain has also recently applied to be a model continuation high school. Woo. On September 27th, the California Department of Education will begin to review our application. September 4th, we had an electrician come in and talk with the kids about IEETC, Inland Empire Electrical Training Center. Students were informed about what different courses and specific classes they are needed to enter this type of career path. Also, on September 4th, we had our first softball game for both boys and girls. We won. We smashed them. The girls smashed them 19-0 and the boys 9-3. That's all I needed to say. On September 5th, Mr. Quintero barbecued at lunch for the students who dressed for success. So, as you can see, that is not us because we are unique. I'm just kidding. But people who dressed nicely, like them, exhibit A. A physical test was taken on the same day as well. Students had the opportunity to take a physical test for free at the gym with parent consent. This is actually a great opportunity for students who do not have, the money for this type of stuff, and also, if they don't have transportation, it's just there at school. So it's a great opportunity for them. This week is Suicide Prevention Week. In honor of ASB, we made posters with important messages such as, when you feel like giving up, just remember the reason why you held on for so long. We are also doing Spirit Week this whole week. Monday is Wear Yellow. Tuesday is Crazy Socks Day. And,
we're wearing our socks.
we came in our crazy socks. Wednesday is College T-shirt Day. Thursday is Sports Jersey Day. And Friday is Paul Shirts Tuesday. Day. Today we had an assembly in the gym about character building. So we learned about the dress code and what was the other one? Policy. It was really funny. You guys should have seen it. Where do we leave off? Friday we are having a pause drawing for the students who received the ticket for participating in the Spirit Week. So the students who get drawn out, they get prizes. So it can be such as snacks, or like how we did last year, we got makeup palettes for some reason. I don't know why. And finally, pause for March makes our school unique. And honestly, I feel like our school is amazing. I came from Vista, not to put hate on Vista. I loved it, but March Valley makes me feel like I'm at home. This concludes my report. Thank you for having me. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, March Mountain. Will the representative from Moreno Valley High School please come forward?
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Kidziora, cabinet, and the community of Moreno Valley. I am Catalina Salazar, the ASB president of Moreno Valley High School. I am here to share the exciting happenings at our school and how we are continuing to move towards our district's LCAP goals and expectations. Goal number 1, which is concerning student achievement. First, we would like to congratulate Anthony Silvas for accepting a full ride scholarship to Cal Baptist University for baseball. It is the highest scholarship given for baseball in our school's entire history. We are also proud to have ranked as one of the U.S. News Best High School in 2019. Last year, our AP pass rate was 27% and has now increased to 35%, and we are aiming to do even better this year. Goal number 2 is concerning college and career readiness. Last year, 93.7% of our students graduated, something I know the class of 2020 will be able to beat, considering I'm part of the class. Goal 3, concerning a supportive learning environment. Congratulations to our PBIS team. They received a silver award for the third year. In order to encourage positive support on campus, our school has launched the PBIS Rewards app, where staff can reward students for positive behaviors. Our football team won their first home game against Canyon on our brand new field, which was an exciting event, where the stands were filled. Thank you to Heritage High School for allowing us to help in hosting the Paris Union High School District FTC kickoff. Robotics on Saturday. 700 people attended from 112 different schools. This morning, we officially opened our brand new football stadium. Thank you guys for coming out. To the cabinet, board, and community, it was an honor having you guys out there and helping us to make a memorable event. In case you haven't heard, we have had a lot of modernization happening on our campus. So a big thank you to MNO, facilities, custodial, and technology staff for completion and modernization in buildings A, M, and N. Next week is Yellow Ribbon Week, and our counseling department has put together some exciting activities to help bring awareness to suicide prevention and supporting our students' mental health, including fun lunchtime activities and guest speakers. Currently, our school is preparing for one of our biggest events this year, which is homecoming. Our dance will be held on Saturday, September 21st, and our biggest game is on the 27th. Our theme this year is homecoming through the decades. We hope you can have time to make it out to our brand new football field and cheer on our team to hopefully and most likely win another game against the Indian Springs High School. Our fourth and last goal is concerning our community stakeholders. Our back to school night had 1,014 parents in attendance, where parents were able to meet their students' teachers, see the improvements at our school, and see performances from a Ballet Folklorico, ROTC, band, and choir. Thank you to Chick-fil-A for coming out as well. We also held a tailgate before our first game, where students and their families were able to come together and enjoy some food and music before the game. This year, we had a lot of amazing classes available for our parents, including parent English classes 2 days a week, parent book club, and parent project classes. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Thank you, Moreno Valley High School. Will the representative from Valley View High School please come forward?
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Kedziora, and community of Moreno Valley. My name is Andres Torres, and before I begin, I would like to take a moment of silence for three fallen Eagles, Patricia Rodriguez, Isaiah Jacobs, and Andre Moye, that we have recently lost. Thank you. I am honored to be serving as a student body president and school board representative and to be here with you tonight to highlight all the amazing things happening at Valley View High School. As part of our newest program on campus, Link Crew, we are thrilled to welcome the incoming freshman class of 2023 to our Eagles Nest on August 1st for our annual freshman orientation. We are ecstatic to announce that over 400 incoming baby Eagles were in attendance at this event. Freshmen had the opportunity to get to know our campus better, meet their Link mentor, learn crucial information that will help them be successful at Valley View, and participate in fun team-building exercises. Following our freshman orientation, Valley View was able to give a warm welcome to the rest of the student body August 5th through 9th during school registration. At registration, we made sure that everyone was set up for success in the new school year. Counselors, admin, and staff were working tirelessly to make sure that students had their IDs, schedules, textbooks, and lockers for our first day of school. Once gained through registration, it was officially time for Valley View to open its gates to the entire student body. ASB arrived early at 5:30 a.m. to prepare for our first day of school pep rally and was outside passing Eagle water balls, playing music, and greeting kids as they entered the school. Throughout the school day, students participated in teacher-led workshops and grade-specific presentations that were created through our PBIS program. On Thursday, August 22nd, our principal, Mrs. Johnson, hosted our first principal council meeting, which was comprised of second-peer representatives and ASB students. During the principal council, Mrs. Johnson took time to note concerns that the student body had, as well as ask for possible solutions to the problems that we see as a student body. At the end of our first full week of school, students had the opportunity to celebrate and cheer on our Eagles at our first home football game against Temecula Valley High School. More recently, this past Friday was our annual club rush. Club Rush invites all active clubs on campus to set up a booth during both of our lunches to recruit new members and highlight the amazing things that each club has to offer, and more than 40 clubs were on display. I was able to take over the California Association of Student Leaders Instagram, otherwise known as CASTLE, and highlight some of our school's clubs and programs to be seen by over 500 schools across the state. Right now, we're in the midst of our Fall Prep Rally Week themed the Olympics. We are super excited to be hosting the Fall Rally this Friday at our beautiful new Red Turf Stadium. Speaking of the stadium, to the community present, if you have not gotten a chance to check it out, it's a must. A great opportunity to do so will be during our big homecoming game themed Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, against Arlington High School on October 4th. We chose this team intentionally because we believe it is our mission to create an environment where students are happy to go to school every day. As a school, we must work to conserve and protect our new red field for as much time as possible, which meant that we had to go back to the drawing board for homecoming. A typical tradition was to do driving floats, and we came to the conclusion that walking floats didn't reach the same level of excellence. After several long discussions and brainstorms, we decided to divert from the idea of a parade to an intricate, spectacular performance that unites the entire campus. The entire student body is invited to be a part of this performance, which promotes unity, creates a safe place for students to connect on campus, become involved, and express their creativity. We can't wait for this performance to come to fruition. Additionally, the day of homecoming, Carnival, Link will be hosting an ice cream social for all of the freshmen during both lunches in our quad. And before kicking off our homecoming game, they'll be hosting a freshman tailgate. Coming up next week will be our back to school night along with our senior parent info night on September 17th. We are looking forward to introducing our parents to our teachers and showcase what we have done in our classrooms so far. Also coming up is Eagle Idol, taking place on September 20th, where we will recognize hundreds of students for their academic achievements. Following that week will be our annual homecoming carnival to kick off our homecoming week on September 27th, which is filled with carnival-style games, Disney movies, dancing, and great food. And most importantly, tons of fun. There is something at the carnival for everyone to enjoy. With that, this concludes my school board report. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Valley View. Will the representative from Vista Del Lago please come forward?
Good evening, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Ketziora, teachers, parents, students, and community. I'm Aubrey Johnson, ASU President, representing Vista Del Lago High School, and I'm here tonight to bring you exciting news from our campus. As we begin this school year, we remain focused on developing our Raven values of respect, achieve, value, engage, never give up, and succeed, as well as our school motto to take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the school. School is back in session, but our Ravens were lifting to rise through excellence on purpose throughout their summer break. 3 of our Vista Del Lago Health Academy 2018 to 2019 seniors competed at the International Leadership Conference in Orlando, Florida. These members committed to plan and train consistently in preparation for this competition. Previously, 42 Health Academy students competed at the state leadership in Sacramento, California. On Wednesday, September 4, 2019, the instructional leadership team met to set the stage for instructional goals and plans for the 2019-2020 school year. The team examined past concerns that continued to be an area of focus, took a look at data to determine next steps for measuring growth, and dedicated time to develop a strategic plan for cohort collaboration days with their content teams. Leaders then included plans to meet with their teams to review data and focus areas for instruction, such as commitment to the use of structured collaborative conversations in classrooms with an emphasis on academic vocabulary. Back to business. Vista Del Lago had their back to school night on August 27th. Many students and their families attended this event where teachers were able to inform them on what will go on throughout the semester and the school year. Not only that, ASB provided entertainment and snacks to the public in order to everyone to enjoy their night as an official Raven. Yay, Ravens! On September 6th, ASB held Club Rush. This is where over 40 clubs came out, and it allowed our Ravens to sign up for any clubs and be involved in our school. Clubs sold food and drinks, and ASB offered face painting and mementos to boost Raven pride. Club Rush was a successful event, and it was amazing to see our Ravens signing up for a variety of clubs. We are now looking forward to homecoming. Our homecoming dance/carnival is on October 4, 2019. With that said, our homecoming football game is on October 11th against San Bernardino. ASB is working diligently to ensure our homecoming activities are positive for the student body and the community. On to sports. Our Ravens football team is off to a strong start to the season with a current record of 2-1. We had our tailgate and ribbon cutting ceremony on September 6th, where students and community came out to celebrate our new and improved track and field. Thank you, by the way. JV football is undefeated, so the future of our football program looks bright. Girls golf, tennis, volleyball, and cross country have also started off their respective seasons. Girls golf is currently 1-0, girls tennis is 4-1, girls volleyball is 2-5, but improving with every game. And cross country had their first meet in Riverside last Saturday, with our program continuing to grow. Our students have been showing the Raven pride and school spirit for our sports. Go Ravens! This concludes my report for this evening. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Vista Delago. And so it's my turn. So good evening, board members, Dr. Ketziora, and community of Moreno Valley. My name is Ethan De La Rosa, and I am honored to announce everything that Canyon Springs has been able to accomplish since the school year began. To begin, we had the highest AP test scores throughout the district, but the academic success doesn't stop there, because we also had 107 applicants for the CL Multiliteracy, which is the highest number of applicants we've had apply for this honor. We also just received words that the California PBIS Coalition awarded us the gold medal for successful PBIS implementation. This award is based off of a detailed review of our practices and verification by a visit to our school. Some areas of note included effective demonstration of our Cougar core values, which are responsibility, integrity, and grit, as well as fewer discipline referrals and higher academic achievement. Health Career Academy is also off to a wonderful start as they hit the ground running with over 18 HCA students who have already signed up to begin job shadowing with EMTs at Ben Clark Training Center in Riverside. Our Health Academy students are also being mentored by second-year residents at Riverside University Health Systems. Athletics has also been making plenty of noise on campus as well, under the supervision of our new athletic director, Justin Remington. We recently unveiled a brand new banner highlighting all of our sports, which features a team representative, which is hung up for everyone to see over the ticket booth at the football stadium. We also have new individual team schedules for the fall season. Overall, our fall sports are in full swing, and our girls tennis team is off to an amazing start, holding a 4-1 record. We also have homecoming this week. The theme this year is Hollywood, so we're really excited to bring this show to our students. The homecoming game is this Friday, September 13th versus Talkwitz High School, and our dance is this Saturday in our gym. We are excited to try to exceed last year's attendance. We are also proud to announce that band received an official invitation to the prestigious Arcadia Festival of Bands, Band Review. This is great news since only 10 bands in each division are invited. Another group that represents the town of the school, choir, has received an invitation to sing the national anthem at an upcoming LA Kings hockey game. Our alumni are also doing amazing things, as Ruchika Tumar, a 2002 Canyon Springs graduate, has officially published her first novel titled A Prayer for Travelers. This is exciting news, and we wish her the best in her career. This concludes my report. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, wasn't that amazing, those reports from the students? Let's give them a big round of applause, all of them. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward for the next report next time. But for now, you're welcome to stay, but you're welcome to go home and do homework. So take your choice. Thank you so much for being here. So we'll see you soon again. All right, next item on the agenda, we have recognitions, communications, events. So the first thing I would like to do is we have two resolutions that we will need to approve. And the first one is resolution number 2019-2002, Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15 through October 15, 2019. So I would like to take a motion in a second to approve resolution number 2019-2002.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoaging?
Aye, 5 ayes. That resolution is approved. The next resolution is resolution number 2019-20-03, Attendance Awareness Month. And I would like to take a motion and a second to approve that resolution.
So moved.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoaging?
Aye, 5 ayes. So with that, we can go down for handing those resolutions and also additional recognitions.
Okay, well, this is for the Attendance Awareness Month resolution. If Dr. Lynn Sheffield, Director of Student Services, can please join me here at the podium. How are you? Okay, as we all know, good attendance is essential to student achievement and graduation. And we are committed to dedicating our resources and attention to reducing chronic absenteeism rates with a focus starting as early as pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. The Moreno Valley Unified School District Board of Education stands with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month by approving this resolution tonight. Improving attendance and reducing chronic absenteeism takes commitment, collaboration, and tailored approaches to particular challenges and strengths in each community. We commit to focusing on reducing chronic absenteeism to give all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby stand with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to focusing on reducing chronic absenteeism to give all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. Thank you so much. And would you like to say a few words? Just a few? Okay. Well.
First of all, I want to thank the school board for recognizing Attendance Awareness Month. It's something that's very important for our students to be successful. So every September comes around and it's Attendance Awareness Month. And it's a time for individuals, organizations to learn more about attendance issues, absenteeism, and the effects of attendance and how it can affect students' academics as well as their success in their future. So we are going to be starting an attendance campaign, Attend for Success, for our students, and we hope to be putting that campaign in all of our school sites with the banner saying Attend for Success, just as a reminder to our students and families. I want to make sure that we recognize our students, our parents, our teachers, classified staff, school board, and principals in all of your efforts to recognize how important attendance is. And I want to thank you all. And we're all here to make sure we're supporting our students. So thank you very much.
Can I start now? Go ahead. Okay. You guys are laughing. You don't even know what this is about. Okay, what this is about, by the way, is Ms. Arce here? I know I saw her someplace. Where is she? Could you come up? Here's what happened. We were upstairs and Mr. Hogan was going to do this one, but he looked at me and he said, Mr. Johnson, I'll give this to you, but you had better do a good job with it. So as long as you've been hanging with me, hopefully by now you've learned something about Hispanics. So he put me on the spot. I'm glad y'all laughing. He put me on the spot, but I love a challenge. So I have something for you. So before I start reading this, now people please work with me now, because you know he's the president and he gave me a chance. So there's a guy, let me ask this question. How many people like Cheetos in this audience? No, just work with me. Okay, how many of you like hot Cheetos? Oh, pretty good. All right, good. You guys gotta help me out. But remember, I have to impress Mr. Hogan. So let me tell you a story about Mr. Richard Montanez. You guys ever heard that name? Oh yeah, good. Let me tell you about Richard Montanez. Richard Montanez started working at a plant. And here's something, I've never told anybody this story. The plant is in Cucamonga, just down the street, and it's called Frito-Lay. Well, he started working as a janitor at 18 because he didn't have any kind of education, and so that was the only job he could get. So one day, they were making Cheetos, and the line went down. What that means is the machine stopped working, but they already had a batch of Cheetos that was just white. It had no flavor or anything. So he asked, can I take some home with me? Because you can't just like take it and go home. So they told him, yes, take as much as you want, because all we're gonna do is put it in the dumpster and throw it away. So he took it home, And then when he got home, he and his wife went in the kitchen and they concocted this formula. And they made these hot Cheetos. So they brought their neighbors over to taste it, and neighbors loved it. So Mr. Montanez thought, well, yeah, I'll take some to work, and maybe my colleagues might like it as well. So he took it to work. His colleagues tasted it, and you know the supervisor walks around the plant, and while he was walking around, he wanted to know what was going on. And then they told him they were eating these hot Cheetos that Montanez made. This guy tasted it, went on in his office, called headquarters in Dallas, told them what he had just eaten. They flew down on a private jet to meet Mr. Montanez. Mr. Montanez is now a millionaire who flies around in an airplane. He discovered hot Cheetos right there in Rancho Cucamonga. Am I doing good so far? Okay, so now I had to warm everybody up before I read this one. Hispanic Heritage Month, September 2019. Tonight, we approved the resolution to recognize the month between September the 15th and October the 15th, 2019, as Hispanic Heritage Month. The board pays tribute to the Hispanic culture for its contributions to the state of California. People of Hispanic descent were an integral part of this nation's early exploration and California's discovery, and now you know about hot Cheetos. Hispanic Americans have made and continue to make important contributions to our society, including the government, business, agriculture, commerce, armed forces, education, the arts, science, sports, and hot Cheetos. The state of California is home to more than 3 million students of Hispanic descent, kindergarten through 12th grade, of which over 23,000 students are enrolled right here in Moreno Valley Unified. Now, Moreno Valley Unified School District Board of Education is happy, very happy, to approve this resolution and encourages activities that promote a greater understanding of and appreciation for the contribution of Hispanic culture throughout California and its entire nation. So I present this to you, Ms. Arce, and thank you for standing and helping me out.
Mr. Johnson and our wonderful Board of Education, I accept this resolution humbly, and I'm honored that our district is committed to not only acknowledge all the Hispanic Latinos that have made great contributions to our community, but all the students that sit in our classrooms and they're going to be our next leaders. In the very fragile state that our country is right now, it means a lot to us that this is acknowledged and that we honor this month for all those that were before us and all those that are with us and all those that are paving the path for our future. Dr. Kitziora, I personally want to thank you for a heartfelt email that you sent at the beginning of this year in light of the separation of families that took place. And you called to action for us to be sensitive to those students and reassure them that they are safe here and that we love them. And we thank you for that. So again, it is with great honor, and I'm very humbled to accept this resolution on behalf of all of our Latinos, Hispanics of Moreno Valley Unified School District, our community, and why not the state of California. Thank you.
Good evening. It is my pleasure and honor to announce tonight's recognitions of our students and our staff. We're going to start with attendance. Like we heard before, September is attendance month, and let's acknowledge the schools that have really worked hard to decrease their chronic absenteeism and increase their ADA. So I'm going to ask Dr. Sheffield and Rafael Garcia to please come up and assist me. I feel like I need a drum roll or something. Northridge. And I think I saw Mr. Hamilton, the principal. There we go. Anyone else from Northridge, please come on up. And as I mentioned the schools, you'll see their percentage of ADA, 97.6 ADA, with a chronic absenteeism of 5.8. Now we're going to our middle school, Vista Heights Middle School, Mr. Hassan. 97.1 ADA percentage, chronic absenteeism low with a 6.4%. And now we go to our high schools, Valley View High School. Please come on up. I see Mrs. Johnson. Anyone else from Valley View? They're welcome to come on up. We would like to acknowledge these schools for the month of August, and the competition continues. Congratulations.
It takes us a while.
Congratulations, guys.
Let's go around and shake hands. Let's go. Congratulations. I'll take this.
Congratulations. Good job. You guys worked hard for that.
Just wanted to make a quick announcement. The family that we've got here and our two girls, Megan and Madison, 100% attendance the entire life at Northridge. They're a fourth grader and a second grader. Never missed a day of school in 5 years. So thank you to the Hoffmans for being here.
Yeah.
100% forever.
That's huge. Thank you.
Oh, he's gonna hug you.
Oh, this was earlier.
Thank you again. She just started. Were you really? I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna start.
The Board of Education would like to honor and recognize the following 7th grade students from Palm Middle School. We can give it up for that. For their selection to present during the 2019 Student Spaceflight Experiments Program National Conference in Washington, D.C. So before I call the students, Dr. Harris, if you could please come on up. From Palm, we have our principal. Then, of course, this doesn't happen without an outstanding coach and teacher. We have Mrs. Gail de Carlatonio. And also the support by our PD staff, we have Emmy Glancy, Dr. Ahmad. And Dr. Buster, if you would please like to come on up. Thank you for your support. So So I'm going to call the students up. Their experiment, which was actually put on a rocket, it actually went into space. And it just came down. And I think they're opening up what happened in space. So they're opening this experiment tomorrow. And then they're going to see what happened to the, well, I'm going to let them tell you. What am I doing? All right, students, let's go. We have Aiden Joseph Alvarez, 8th grade. We have Vince Andrew Mora, 8th grade. We have Vincent Matthew Ruiz, 8th grade. And students, I understand you're going to be speaking? That we did tell you you're going to be speaking? Thank you.
Yeah, he's got it.
Go for it. Right there, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Vin. Oh, you already introduced us. But so when we first got introduced to the idea of the students' spaceflight experience program, our thought process of finding a topic was we first thought of crabs because we thought we'd try to start a new agriculture. I mean, not agriculture. Aquaculture in space. So since the overpopulation on Earth, we would need more food. And we found out for the requirements, they found out they were too big. And so we had to find another topic and another idea to find something else. And we found out brine shrimp fit exactly the size for the mini lab setup, so that's what we stuck with. And we also found out that they were dormant, and their very first stages were in eggs, so which is way more helpful. And another big advantage was they needed seawater, which is to fit in any space with the specifications of the mini lab setup. And our procedure it took multiple weeks to write our proposal. Then after it went to the district level competition, and they had to review it. And after they reviewed it, we had to make changes because we found out that ours was gonna pass to the national conference. So we had to edit our proposal again. And then the experiment was launched 2 weeks after the conference in July and came back last week to Palm Middle School last Wednesday. And tomorrow we will be looking at the shrimp, seeing what the differences were from ground truth to up in space, and how, if they were bigger, smaller, what the differences were in each stage of their life cycle, and if there was a difference between how many hatched, if there was more or less. And me and my team would like to thank the superintendent, Dr. Kidziora, and the School Board of Education for supporting us the entire way and giving us a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to send our science experiment to space.
This also could not be possible without the support of the families and the parents. So I would like to also ask them to please come on up. All the families of these students, please join us for a picture and to be acknowledged. Could not do it without you. Thank you.
Emmy Glancy, I want you to come over here and, yeah. And I don't know if you want to say this, but I don't think they really everybody here realizes what they did. But how many experiments were there that were submitted across the country?
Oh,
Ooh, across the country? Oh, there were hundreds, thousands.
There were 4,000.
Yeah, thousands of them
yeah,
for the country.
uh-huh.
I know in
Yeah.
the district we had 50.
Yeah,
that
the
came in.
district had 50, but across the this was for across the nation.
And
it wasn't
international.
and international. This just
Canada
wasn't.
and
Yeah.
Brazil.
So how many were selected finally?
The final count, I think, were
23.
He's got the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's
yeah.
catching me
Yeah,
off guard
23 from across the country that were selected, and these 3 young men from these families were selected from Moreno Valley, California, from Palm Middle School STEAM Academy, and they presented at an international conference in Washington, D.C. And yeah. So, isn't that, I mean, go ahead, say something about
Okay,
them. 'cause,
say
I mean,
something. Oh my goodness, yes, it's been great. So I don't want to take up too much time, but the opportunity that these students had that we've had in the district has just been amazing. And to see their continued perseverance, and like Vince was mentioning, there was not just one proposal, they had to make some modifications and get it ready for space flight. The mini lab is about this big. So they did have to kind of rethink and get that all planned out because it can't take up too much space, because it's going on a payload on a rocket, and we know that all costs a little bit of money there. So they did have to make those modifications for it to be sent up there, and they've just been working hard, and I couldn't be more pleased to have been working with them and their families, all the support, and with Ms. DiCarlo-Antonio, who's been an amazing lead facilitator teacher for them, and of course Dr. Harris and everyone else up here. So these students have just been really, really awesome.
This is the second year that a team from Moreno Valley has won.
Yes, this is the second year that a team from Moreno Valley has won. Valley View High School was the year before, and we're looking forward to going with Mission 14. And before we talk about that, if you'll look at their fantastic lab coats, there at the national conference, our students were able to display also the patches that were won. That's the second part of the competition. So we're totally doing the STEAM here. We've got the science, engineering with the experiment, and then we had an art competition. Because every mission that goes to space, those astronauts actually have patches, every single mission from the beginning. So we were able to endeavor in that as well. And our art competition allowed for a middle school patch, and of course Mountain View Middle School. Our patch was chosen, and then Valley View High School was the high school. So one middle school, one high school patch. And you'll see that they are displayed on their lab coats, on their arms. And what was really neat about this second year is these patches, they drew them and they colored them in. And then we were able to scan the images, and our coordinator, Greg Solomon, for our visual and performing arts, offered to have the patches made into real material ones, and they turned out fantastic. So at the national conference, they were able to display them and show and just kind of come full circle there, as well as at the front of their particular lab coats. We have displayed their middle school and our school district, and it was Vince's mom who went ahead and helped prepare our lab coats for them to have that professional look. So excited about that part, and the energy that was there at the Air and Space Museum as they were giving their presentation was just amazing. So I could probably keep on talking, but it's getting late. So thank you, and just a great job they did.
Okay, wait, my cell phone.
Oh, no.
Go around. Congratulations again, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Good. Thank
you for being here. Definitely nice to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll see you Thursday. Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting to see what happens when they open it.
When they open it, I know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your words. Thank you,
ma'am.
You are? Thank you. I got you.
We now, the board, would like to acknowledge, and we're very proud to honor the students that have been chosen by the Press Enterprise as players to watch. So I'm not going to even attempt to talk about your how you work on the football field. So I'm going to invite the head coach to say just a few words why these are players to watch. So let's start with Vista Del Lago High School. We have our head coach here, Michael Tui, and then Mr. Swanson, if you can join him also. And let's introduce your player, Stephen Goss Jenkins. I want to make sure that we said Stefan. I want to make sure to say your name right, because when you're, like a professional football player. Coach, can you say just a few words?
Yep. So Stefan is kind of our Mr. Everything, offense, defense, special teams. He really does it all. And now he's really improving in the classroom as well, so we're hoping to get him to the next level. He's a great young man. I'm really proud of him.
And then from Moreno Valley High School, I'd like to ask our head coach, Mr. Ted Watkins, Ms. Brown, if you can join your players here. And we have Elijah Kelsey and Leroy Lewis. Coach Watkins, why are they players to watch?
Guys, first of all, all three of these guys, I'm going to say something about Vista Del Lago kid too. These are the three most dynamic kids in our 7-team league. I mean, there's no question about it. These are the three best players, and I'm not much for Vista Del Lago, but I'm going to give him his credit too. He's an extremely dynamic young man. Our two kids, Leroy, first game had 4 catches, a touchdown, and was our offensive MVP of the second game. His younger brother, Kelsey, is only a sophomore. He's got 5 touchdowns in the first 2 games, had 14 tackles in our last game. The future's extremely bright for both of them. So 3 outstanding young men right here.
Congratulations. Thank you, Coach. Thank you. No. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Anytime, Ms. Brown. Anytime.
We would now like to acknowledge the cyber academic pathway and to give you just some information on why this has gone really nationwide, statewide. We have a very short video to show you, and then we'll introduce and acknowledge the staff that made all this possible.
Hello, my name is Jahi Garner. I'm a math teacher in Moreno Valley School District. I'm also a first-year Cyber Patriot coach. I think having the passion is what's going to help more. Just having that passion, I think when kids see the passion that I have, I think that's going to help them just be really, really passionate about going into this exciting field of cybersecurity.
Hi, I'm Mark Santora. I'm a former Microsoft and Linux engineer from New York City, and for the last 15 years I've been teaching mathematics and computer science. I am amazed by how many opportunities are available for students and young people interested in cybersecurity. So people with technical experience have the ability to serve as mentors to other teams, to help give direct instruction, as well as doing things online, doing things video conferencing. So there are a lot of ways that people with expertise can help.
Hi, I'm Sharon Wang Kadian. I'm from San Diego. I'm a parent here. As a first year, I learned how to be a cyber coach. And the reason I'm here is because I want to support my kid, because he's very passionate about cybersecurity.
You have just seen a number of coaches who went through our Cyber Guild Coaches Training, and you can see their passion and excitement. Vision 1000 is creating 1,000 new cyber teams, middle school and high school throughout California by 2020. What's going to happen in 2020? The 2020 Mayor's Cyber Cup. We want you to be a part of it too. Join the team and be part of Vision 1000 and sign up as a coach today. You won't ever regret it, and you're going to have a ball. We're in it together. We're in it to win it, to build up a great workforce of strong cybersecurity professionals. Well, welcome aboard. Come on, join the team. We're ready to go.
So I'm not even going to start to talk about the cyber pathway right now without bringing up Donna Woods and Chris Lorenz. Really brief history, but I remember when the Cyber Patriot started as a club after school. It started in 2015, both at Canyon Springs High School and at Valley View High School. Within the club's very first Cyber Patriot teams, they had 6 teams. And now, last season, it grew to 18 teams. That's huge. Both from, and this is another highlight, from middle and high school. So that was important. During the past 4 years, this has been developed into a state-approved UC A through G 3-year cyber academic pathway, which has been adopted by numerous school districts throughout the state. And in 2019-2020 school year, it serves as our first year for cyber ICT dual enrollment with Moreno Valley College, where students receive 3 college units and 10 elective credits each semester while they take these courses in our high schools. Many, many honors that the cyber academic pathway has received: Model of Excellence, Leaders in Innovation, SyncEd Cyber Guild Advisory Leaders, grant awards, 3 state titles, and 7 teams advancing to the Cyber Patriot National Semifinals competition round. All of this is not possible without a lot of work, team, and partnerships with our higher education and community. So let me start to call up our partners. Really not only appreciate your efforts and your work. We need you. We're glad you joined us, and it's to benefit our students, to prepare them for the future. From Moreno Valley College, I'd like to acknowledge the president, Dr. Robin Steinbeck, please. Dean of Instruction for CTE, Dr. Melody Gravine. And I don't know if she's here, but we'd like to acknowledge Professor of Computer Informational Systems from Moreno Valley College, Dr. Casey Gwynn.
She's teaching a class tonight.
She is teaching a class tonight. From Sabori Catering, Juan and Sabina Hernandez. They really do support us by providing food, meals, really acknowledge their work. From the Cupcake and Espresso Bar owners, Fadi Ballout, Karina Ballout, and Shadi Ballout. Please come on up. Powered by California Community Colleges, Suzanne Mata, Regional Director, Employer Engagement. Now, we cannot grow cybersecurity in our district without, once again, the teachers, the coaches, their commitment to not only get trained, but to make sure that our students have the very best education possible to not only graduate, but get them college and career ready. We have Jahi Gardner from Palm Middle School. Mary Baez, Landmark Middle School. Nick Smith, Sunnymead Middle School. Noel Garrett, Mountain View Middle School. Kenneth Jones, Canyon Springs High School. Beatrice Vizcarra, Badger Springs Middle School. Giovanni Lopez, Vista del Lago High School. Quinn Vu, Vista del Lago High School. I like to right now invite all the principals also that support cyber security pathways classes on their campuses. So principals, if you're here, would like to acknowledge your support and work on this also. And I'm going to ask Donna Woods just to say a few closing remarks because this really has grown in our district, like I said, across the state. And Donna and Chris are now requested throughout the state to train everyone.
Donna. Again, very short. We know it's a late evening. We are extremely grateful for all the people you see up here. We had no idea, and we're so grateful for our principals and our Board of Education. When we began writing curriculum, Chris and I, a few years back, 4 years ago, that how successful it would be. We could not do that without the incredible support of our parents, of the hard work of our students, and all the people that you see before you here today. Again, our curriculum has been adopted throughout the state, but the partnerships from higher academia have just been incredible, and the business partnerships. What you didn't know, Cupcakes and Espresso provided free cupcakes to all the students that participated in the camps this summer. We had over 200 students at the camps. The college's Sabare Catering made lunch every single day for all these students, so they did not have to pay. Just to give you an awareness of what that is, in San Diego, they charge $250 per camp. In Orange County, $175. Because of the amazing grant from Moreno Valley College and Doing What Matters for Jobs and Education, the camps we put on cost over $25,000, and none of our students paid a dime. So we're extremely grateful.
I think one of the greatest privileges that we have as leaders is that we work with faculty, staff, community members who really, they radiate possibilities for our students and for our community. You know that you make vision, you help our students to realize their vision of the future, who they are today and who they'll be tomorrow, that they have a passion for learning, and that we all walk with purpose, that we are here to make contributions. So I see this in each and every one of you. I see it in the team that I work with at Moreno Valley, our community partners. By the way, Cupcake Espresso does a lot at our college too. Thank you very much. They're true community members. And working together, we really are making a difference for the students and their families and our community. Thank you. It's a privilege to work with you.
Middle school, all the middle school coaches, come on up, you guys, come on up. We are so proud of these middle school teachers that have stepped up. They came to all the training. We started labs at their schools, so we have a wonderful pathway from middle school through high school up to the college. So we want them all recognized. Come on, Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones. Yeah. All right, there you go. There you go.
However you guys want it.
what Donna tells me.
I just do whatever Donna tells me to do.
Chris,
I love it.
look-
Smart that way. Marsha, where are you?
No, Marsha.
But she didn't want to stand there, so leave her.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know it. Enjoy doing it.
Definitely. Thank you. See you again. There you go.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hi. Are you going to start? You have a club?
We're starting a team right now.
Oh.
All right, so we're back on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is F6, staff responses to public comments made at previous meetings. Dr. Katsura, do we have any?
No, Mr. Holguin, there are no comments. Thank you.
Okay, next item, F7, public comments on agenda items. Do we have any public comments on agenda items?
None on agenda items.
None. So next item is public comments on non-agenda items. So we have four yellow slips. So the Board of Education encourages public comments. During this section, staff may briefly respond to statements or questions, or may ask questions for clarification. The board may refer to staff or other resources for factual information, direct staff to report back at a subsequent meeting, and/or direct staff to place the topic on a future agenda. If someone wants to lodge a complaint against an employee, the appropriate form may be obtained at any school or the community education center. Individual speakers shall be allowed to speak for a total of 3 minutes on non-agenda items. So the time is going to be on the screen, right? Yeah. So we have, again, 4 yellow slips. So the first speaker is going to be Angel DeJazer. Thank you. My apologies. So again, the time is on the screen. You have 3 minutes. And then after that would be Safira Gray. Safira Gray. Is that right?
Yeah.
Safira. Okay. Go ahead.
My name is Angel DeShazer, and I'm here today to talk about a post that Deborah Craig posted on her public page, Moreno Valley Matters, regarding the Moreno Valley skate park fight and the racial tensions it cited. I want to say first and foremost that I do value free speech. However, I don't value free speech that infringes upon someone's livelihood, to include death threats, lynching, and conspiracy to commit violent acts on minors. When Deborah Craig initially posted the fight video, her caption read, "If we are ever going to change the image of Moreno Valley, it begins by getting these thugs out of our city and into the prison where they belong." This is concerning to me, considering the fact that she's a school teacher and clearly doesn't like context. After commenting on the post notifying her that these are minors, and to please change the caption from thugs, as the comments pouring in made it seem as these minors were adults, and that the lynching, nigger, ooga booga, monkey, 1352, shoot those efforts, degrading insults were counterintuitive to her position that she holds as a school teacher. And ultimately, we asked her if she would take the post down. We informed her that her comment section was spiraling out of control, and after doing so, we were barred from commenting on her public page because we called out her racist bias. All the while, the nigger comments continued to roll in. On August 4th, 2019, the Daily Stormer, a national neo-Nazi white supremacist and Holocaust denial website message board that advocates for the genocide of Jews, anyone non-white and non-heterosexual, posted the video with the caption, "Two silverbacks arrested for viciously attacking white teens at a Moreno Valley skate park." And guess who they cited? Moreno Valley Matters. After doing an extensive search, because I don't know if any of you guys know, but the 4chan is in the deep dark web, so I had to search. I found comments that were local. One of them came from someone named Negrotacular that reads, "Moreno Valley is a nigger paradise. Every time I have to drive through that dump, I get the nigger shivers." As an educator, prior history with working at the press enterprise, winning a libel case, and holding multiple degrees, it should have taught her that there are some things better left unsaid. And also, I wish that these minors were also given a lift to rise instead of being crucified. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Safira Gray, followed by Paula Garcia.
So my name is Sapphire. My son's the oldest. My son and his oldest are his friends, are my oldest. They're the minors in the skate park incident. My youngest son called his brother crying because he was being picked on by some older kids who are notorious for smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and fighting at the park. My oldest son went to his brother's defense without thinking about the consequences and prosecuted by the court of public opinion based mainly on the caption Deborah Craig posted. My son and his friend were vilified and hung by Deborah Craig's public and now have to walk through the streets of Moreno Valley as domestic terrorists of sorts. Throughout this process, I heard people comment and say that my older son was wrong for bullying the younger man in the video and can't help but think about all the young kids who had no one that had their back and how our kids, our babies, are committing suicide because they are bullied and feel alone. Deborah Craig implemented her own form of bullying with her caption to the post and keeping it up in spite of death threats, racist comments, and blatant hate for the minors that are schooled in the school district she works for. And the only reason she is able to get away with this grotesque display of bias and racism is simply because of teachers' union and their selfish views that put teachers over students. I implore you to strongly request Deborah Craig have consequences based on her actions, the death threats her freedom of speech caused, or you can sit by and idle in the aid of her racism, knowing deep in your heart you are part of the problem the black community faces and will sustain in your connection with the black community.
Next speaker, Paula Garcia, followed by Roy Blickert.
My name is Paula Garcia. I am a neighbor to the young men in Moreno Valley Skate Park incident. I have watched these boys grow into the young men that they are today. I've been their neighbor for 17 years. I knew their dad. I've seen how the post Deborah Craig posted has affected the young men. They went from confident young men to being unsure of their identity, livelihood, and the people in their community. We live on a small cul-de-sac where for years kids were not afraid to play outside. Now, due to the death threats on Deborah Craig's post, what her post caused, we have had an increase in traffic on our streets. We can't help but be fearful that one of those people could be the person with the death threat on Deborah Craig's post. Deborah Craig purposely captioned her post and left the comment section open to the bully to bully these minors. And my biggest concern is that I'm a grandmother and I have grandkids in this district. How are you going to assure me and my family that this systematic racism is not district-wide? I just want to say also, I had to go to an appointment this morning and I took a Lyft. The Lyft driver, he came, and when I got to the car, he pointed to a house on my street. He said, "Is that where the skate park people are?" And I said, "Excuse me? This is at 6:30 in the morning." He was pointing to a house on our block. And he said, "Oh, I heard all." He goes, "Yeah." He said, because on Deborah Craig's post, she put the address, our street, pictures of the parent, of one of the parents. They put pictures, and they also, on her post also, it was just completely misdone. It was misinformed. It was one-sided. And like I said, the Lyft driver, he said that he had been on my street before, that they Googled it to see which house it was. And that really scared the crap out of me because I have grandkids that play on that street, in that cul-de-sac. We've had trash thrown on our street. We've had stuff broken. This is our cul-de-sac. We all get together as neighbors and we have barbecues together, our whole cul-de-sac. And now, if you look out, there's nobody out there playing. My grandkids are in my house along with everybody else's, and it's not fair. And all because she refused. And if you go and you did, I bet you right now, if you look on your post, you could pull it up. Thank you.
Next speaker, Roy Blecker.
I'd like to start off by saying congratulations to the kids that did the space experiment, the athletes, and the cyber team, and all the things that are coming. One thing that I took from that is they noticed the STEAM part of it. For a long time, some have come up, said, "Why don't you look and encourage this?" Sometimes it takes a little bit. Sometimes things get accomplished because you push the needle. Sometimes things don't move if you just ask pretty please with sugar on top. But in a lot of things that come across, and you're seeing some of the actions, consequences of all the things that happen in this community. You look at a lot of things and a lot of the perceptions out there, a lot of the talk. But what I don't see is a lot of people acknowledging the true actions that make positive change and make it look at what really should be done. CJ talks a lot about graduation rate. That's great. But is this a legitimate question? What about the 12 other parameters on there that the needle's on the wrong side of the equation and have not moved? When you analyze some things and look at them, or you've been in a position where you've changed things around like that, you look at things like that and you ask those questions. And again, I ask, are those legitimate questions to ask, and do those questions deserve answers? 5 people are up here elected as representatives to oversee and watch this, everything that goes on. That's why you're called the Board of Education. It's your responsibility to be the link between everyone, the students, the staff, and analyze everything independently and make judgments on that without bias or predisposition. If we can get to that point, I think you will see a lot of things change, and maybe not a lot of things that happen, or a lot of circumstances that come up, and you're seeing them.
Thank you all for your comments. That's the end of the list of speakers. So now we'll move on. Sure, Superintendent.
I want the Board of Education to know that Mrs. Gary, is that right? And Mrs. DeShazar, and I don't know if Ms. Garcia, if I have your phone number, but I've been in contact with you, and you've worked with Jason Barney. He's back there in the back of the room. You've talked to him on the phone. And Mrs. Brown, the principal of Moreno Valley High School. And I continue to text with you and talk to you about anything that happens. And I want the board, they don't know this because I haven't told them this, that I have continued to communicate with you and work to resolve. And I've worked with Dr. Verdi, who's the Chief Human Resources Officer, to address the concerns that you brought forward tonight. Many times, because the page is run as a private citizen and not as a teacher in our district, therein lies some complication. But I do want you to know we do care about you, and we're going to continue to work with you. And I appreciate that you text me things and that I am able to respond to you. So I just want to let you know that.
You okay with that? Okay, I'm going to give you 3 more minutes to comment. Can you come to the microphone, please?
So I know me and you talked, about the freedom of speech, and, it has nothing to do with this. Sapphira. Sapphira? Yes, I'm the mother of the kids. But, okay, so I know, we spoke about the freedom of speech, and, basically what she does outside of work has nothing to do with her job. But my opinion on the matter is that if she can condone to so much violent and racial comments that was posted on her page towards minorities, Pacific African Americans, she's a school teacher. She's a teacher of our newly educated students, TK. So I feel like it does have everything to do with her job, because how can you have so much hatred in your heart towards minorities, but then you're teaching our you're teaching our students? So what influence does she have on my students? Not only am I concerned about my kids, but other people's kids who go to the school. So that's my main concern of why I brought this to the school board. Not for the fact that, okay, yes, she has freedom of speech. She has, her Facebook posts outside of work. She's not bringing it to work, but then she has that influence on our kids that she's teaching. So you guys, you guys uphold a certain standard when it comes to you guys as teachers, correct? So at the end of the day, I feel like, how is she gonna, behave like that on social media with all the violent comments and the racial comments, but go to school every day and teach our minority children? So that's my biggest thing why we brought this to the school board.
Just to take in on her time, we also we fought with Instagram to have the post taken down on Instagram. Facebook is a lot harder to do, but even through the Instagram post that the Moreno Valley Matters page that she has, we're in a climate. Everyone knows Make America Great Again is Donald Trump. It's unfortunately the same person who's sending our Hispanic babies, separating them from their parents. And she posted Make Moreno Valley Great Again. So as someone who has a family member who crossed the border with her baby, you know, as an African American woman who has 4 black kids, you know, when I see that, and I know that she's going in to teach these young, impressionable minds, that she's more easily to get away with just planting little seeds in these baby brains. And that's what we're saying we have an issue with. These babies they're not knowledgeable enough to know that when someone says make America great again or make Moreno Valley great again, that is actually racist and biased, you know? So they don't know that. I had a daughter who was at school, and a teacher told her one time, don't bring these these junk Chinese pencils in here. And I didn't find out about it till 2 months later, because she was only in the 4th grade. So
Thank you.
TK, we won't find out about it until they're grown.
Thank you so much. Any additional comments? Okay, I just wanted to clarify a point here, because I don't want to get people confused. I'm not going to comment on this specific item. I'm just going to say about the process. Normally, this is the time for public comments, and we allow speakers to speak for 3 minutes. And the maximum amount based on the bylaws, it's 21 minutes. So the question was raised, and I looked at my colleagues, and my colleagues were in agreement to allow this to happen, this additional time. This is not a normal procedure. So I just want to make clear that this doesn't happen every single time. And because we only had 4 speakers, we had enough time to allow additional comments. But I just want to make that clear, because in future meetings, people may come and say, well, you allowed it once, we have to allow it again. That this is not normal. In addition, I personally took the privilege of allowing it because of the sensitivity of this particular issue. But this is not the normal practice. I just want to make that clear to my colleagues here and for public information. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. So we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. We have a public hearing to conduct a public hearing regarding a conveyance of easement to Southern California Gas Company to construct pipelines and natural gas to District's various operations center. Ms. Lopez, would you please speak on this item before we open the public hearing?
Yes. This is in regards to the CNG, the compressed natural gas station over at the transportation yard. And this would give access to Southern California Gas Company, access to the meter, as well as the pipes to that station. And we also want to let you know that we do have our Director of Transportation here, Jim Burleson, to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing, and then we'll go back to comments from the board. So, I need a motion and a second to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden? Roll call. Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hogan?
Aye, 5 ayes. So the public hearing is open. Is there anybody who would like to speak on this item? I don't see anybody approaching the microphone, so I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to close the public hearing on the conveyance of an easement to Southern California Gas.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hogan?
Aye. The public hearing now is closed. So do we have any comments from the members of the board?
I know that the CNG station was voted on in February. Is it possible we can get a little bit, just kind of an update and where we are with that and how it relates to the specific easement, just a little bit more detail for the public? And I know I wasn't here as a board member, so that'd be helpful just to kind of get a little bit more information about the purpose behind this specific item.
Yes, and I will at this time ask our Director of Transportation, Jim Burleson, to approach podium to answer those questions.
Good evening, Cabinet, Board, Board President Holguin, and Superintendent Dr. Kedziora. Is there any questions regarding the facility, or would you just like a brief overview on where we're at currently? So we did get board approval to move forward with the construction of a leased CNG fueling facility. The CNG fueling facility is going to be a time fill station for our current 28 CNG buses that we have, and this gas line and the easement that we're asking approval for tonight would allow access for SoCal Gas to maintain, repair, and inspect those lines, moving forward. So if there was any issue, they would have access to the property to do such. So, and right now the construction phase of that is we have a proposed completion date of the 26th of this month to have that turned over and begin operations. So we're really excited about that because that allows us to fuel those 28 school buses on site. Currently we're taking those buses off site, and takes approximately an hour per bus per day to do so. So having these buses fill overnight on the facility is going to be a great benefit to the students, and especially on those that we serve for field trip work and regular route work in the mornings.
How far can you go on a full tank?
Just under 300 miles.
I can just have a follow-up question. Can you express, what we're doing? I know, because I wasn't here, so it'd be helpful just to know. I know we put into place, and it was voted by the board back in February to put in a natural gas pump. But what's their plans, and do we have any plans, or have we been thinking about moving to an electric fleet and what that looks like?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm very excited about that piece. Right now, we're continuing the move to be a green fleet. 50% of our current fleet right now is near zero emission. CNG comes in at a near zero, as well as propane. And there are a lot of grant opportunities. We applied for the CEC grant recently, and we were a finalist in that one, but we weren't awarded. We missed it just by a few spots. And there's another grant opportunity coming from the VW mitigation grant funds that we'll also be applying for next month. And we're hoping to get maybe 10 electric buses out of that. There's a yard reorganization project that we're currently working on. That includes some infrastructure upgrades that will allow us to quickly address the need for the infrastructure for the electric buses. So, we're working, as we talked about earlier today, on integrating a fleet. Electric buses are fantastic. The cruising range is still a little bit shallow at 60 to 85 miles, so it's great for route work within the community. But to support the field trips and athletic trips that we have, the CNG piece is still necessary for that range, because the electric buses would not be able to handle that work. So, working to stay green is really what we're trying to do to support the community and, healthy students. And we're very excited about that piece, but it's important as we plan moving forward that we can address all the transportation needs of the students, from regular route work all the way to field trip and athletic trips.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any additional comments or questions from the board? Nope. Okay. So then we'll move on to the next item, item G2, resolution number 2019-2010 of the Moreno Valley Unified School District authorizing the conveyance of an easement to the Southern California Gas Company for the purpose of providing natural gas to the Moreno Valley Unified School District's Paris Operations Center. Ms. Lopez, can you please speak about this item?
Yes, so this would be the actual resolution that would approve the conveyance of the easement. The public hearing was an opportunity to hear comments and take that feedback and incorporate it into this resolution, which would grant the approval.
Okay.
I move that we approve the resolution.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Holguin?
Aye, 5 ayes. So the resolution is approved. Thank you so much for the information. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the information. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda, item H, consent agenda. The consent agenda includes several items, and they are listed under the consent agenda label. So I would entertain a motion in a second to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this item H, consent agenda.
Need a second, please?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Hoagie?
Aye, 5 ayes. So the consent agenda is approved. Next, we move on to action items. Item I-1A, student discipline cases. Ms. Maddox, can you speak on this item, please? Nothing to say on this. Okay, we already discussed this. So need a motion and a second to approve item I-1A.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoagie?
Aye, 5 ayes. That item is approved as presented. Next item, J, discussion action items. J1A, amend resolution number 2018-1934, membership in educational organizations. Dr. Getziora, can you speak on that item, please?
Well, and
124.
I was wondering if you had questions, and maybe you could ask the questions, because I've included in 2 Friday memos, PowerPoint. I don't know if you remember all getting this, but I also had individual meetings with you where I gave you an additional information. So I would add to whatever I needed to, but I didn't know if you had additional questions.
I don't.
I would like to say I appreciate you getting back to us with some additional information on this item. Thank you.
Great. Any additional questions or comments?
Yeah, I'd like to know if we can, if you can share with us the cost for the membership and also the value add and what it's going to bring to the district in terms of your perspective and why you put it forward. Obviously, there's needs in our district, and I know that you would definitely put something on the agenda that has some value. So I want to just hear a little bit about that and why this is important to our district.
Of course. I'd like to ask Esperanza Arce. Does this go off?
There, no, there. Oh. Ms. Arce, can you please come to the microphone and...
Well, I'd just like to ask Ms. Arce to come forward because she's the Director of Secondary Education, and she's one of many team members that work with me and in advancing 21st century learning in our district. And I was wondering if you might add to what, did you hear the questions or what was asked?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And you're a parent also in our community, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And so I want you to talk from a parent and from, working here perspective, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Thank you. So to answer your question or to address your question specifically and the knowledge that I have in this particular network and opportunity with Ed Leader 21, one of the things that we are called by legislation, I'm speaking as a director of secondary education, and then I'll address as a parent. One of the things that we're asked is to provide a 21st century learning experience for all students. That is not something that was just done one day to the next. That was a call of action with AB 250 in 2011. Schools and districts and publishing companies had 4 years to implement it. By 14-15, they had to implement a very rigorous and comprehensive approach to 21st century learning that specifically addressed the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. That is something that was addressed they had to address in all of the textbooks that school district adopted. One of the things that textbooks are not addressing, we're supposed to provide a rigorous 21st century learning experience to all of our students, but one of the things that they didn't address was how we are assessing the skills. We are very good, our publishing books are very well versed on how we are addressing and assessing the content, but not the skills, which are the 4 C's. So Ed Leader 21 and if I can talk about the cost, for $8,000, they provide a network of over 200 schools and districts across the nation. They've already done the work for us, and I've done the math on how much it would cost us for example, just 5 teachers to be out of the classroom for 5 days to create rubrics to address each one of the 4 C's. So for example, a teacher provides a comprehensive lesson on communication. But how do they assess that? How do they have the ability to look at whether or not the student is on the right track and determine whether or not that student has mastered the skill of communication or collaboration or critical thinking? That's a very difficult task to do. So in taking, for example, 5 teachers, which we would need a lot more than 5, but if we would take 5 teachers out of the classrooms for just 1 week, it would cost us a minimum $5,000 to pay for subs. So for $3,000 more, we already have a tool that was produced by teachers for teachers, and it's already been vetted. And there's comprehensive rubric in each one of those areas by subject, by grade level. It's pretty cool, I must say, and it's very nice when you see it in action. So of course our next steps would be to adopt that, to provide professional learning to our teachers, and of course to our administrators as well, because this would impact our instruction to levels that we're in the cutting edge with our MTSS approach, but it's something that our teachers are also saying, okay, we're doing this, but then, and we're asking, okay, 21st century, but how do we measure that? How do we know that our kids are on the right track? And then another thing that is very exciting to see is something called the Portrait of a Graduate. Now, as a parent, I want to hear the commitment, and I know this is difficult, but I'll speak as a parent. I want to hear the commitment as a district of what are we saying that every single one of our students is going to graduate with. If I think of Moreno Valley Unified School District student, they graduate 12th grade, what does that graduate look like? Well, Ed Leader 21, again, with all the network and all the resources, allows us to clearly define and put together what are we going to commit for every single one of our graduates to have. There are districts that have said we want our graduates to be flexible. We want them to be problem solvers. We want them to be critical thinkers. Whatever that may be, we get to work with other districts across the nation to define, and schools and districts that are like ours, and working with our own teachers. That's the value of this. It's the teacher voices, the classified voices, the administrative voices, to say when our kids graduate, they're going to graduate and they're going to look like this, and we're making a commitment to ourselves and to our community. So that excites me, a lot. I actually did not realize, and it was pretty exciting when Dr. Katsura approached us and talked about Ed Leader. We saw a presentation, and he had no knowledge of this, and I shared with him, as a principal and as in a former district, I actually work with this, and it changed the perspective because it gave our teachers that calibration to look at the skills for our kids, not just content, which are very critical in this era, and also looking at how from elementary to middle to high school, we're all working together to create that graduate that we define is instrumental for us. So those are just 2 of the different resources that are accessible to us for $8,000. I feel like I'm a salesperson now, but I just wanted to really address that question. Sorry if it was a little longer.
I want to thank you for your passion and for your knowledge. This has been very informative to me, I'm sure for my colleagues as well. And so I want to thank you for passing on this knowledge to us so we can fully understand the item at hand. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that it's the same thing, and I think as a board member, it's not that I want to be here till midnight, but when we have these things on the agenda, it's really informative for us, to have the presentation or the information, because then we know what we're voting on, because it's really difficult, to pass things without that. So I really appreciate this detailed information, and I'd like to see more of it. But thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions? All right, if not, we'll entertain a motion in a second to approve. Oh, I lost it. Okay, approve resolution number 2018-1934. Approve the amendment to resolution number 2018-1934.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Holguin?
Aye, 5 ayes, that amendment is approved. Thank you again for the information. Thank you. So next item on the agenda, Business Services, J2A, approval of unaudited actuals report for 2018-19. Ms. Lopez, can you speak on this item, please?
Yes. Tonight, we are recommending approval of the unaudited actuals financial report for the 2018-19 fiscal year. And at this time, I would like to ask our Director of Business Services, Jessica Garcia, to walk you through an overview on a short presentation.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Kedziora, members of cabinet and community. I'm Jessica Garcia, Director of Business Services, and tonight I'll be giving you a summary of the 18-19 unaudited actuals. So the mission statement of the district is included in our unaudited actuals because we think it's important as a business department to really remember why we're here and who we work for in the business department. And so with our support, we strive to make sure that we're focusing on the mission of the district as well. We also utilize the 11 commitments in our department, and one of my favorite commitments is the commitment, know your why. And so as we work through our business department and in what we do daily, we always start with our why and ask ourselves why we're here. So the unaudited actuals really is a report that summarizes how we ended for the fiscal year 18-19. It is subject to an annual audit that we'll be having starting next week with our auditors. They come out to look at all the information that we've put together that we're going to be presenting to you tonight. The annual report is also filed with the state, and this gets sent over to the county immediately after board tomorrow. And then when we get the beginning balances, we do get these from the ending fund balances for the information you are going to receive tonight. So they're all connected. How we end is how we start for the new fiscal year. So in our first slide, I want to talk to you about the unrestricted general funds revenues and how we had estimated we were going to end in June, and really how we ended up closing the books for the school year. You'll see that in our LCFF sources, we had a little bit of an increase. In our federal revenue, there is none in unrestricted. Our state revenues went up slightly. Overall, our revenues went up about $1.1 million for our unrestricted side. And then in our restricted general fund, you'll see that there was a slight dip in our federal revenue, but we did have some increases in our state and local, and those are tied to interest revenue that we get as well from bonds, property taxes, RDA, local taxes that we weren't sure that we were going to get that we don't necessarily budget for because there's too many variables involved to budget for those, so we recognize them when we do receive them. We also have here the expenditures now. So the first piece that I just showed you was the dollars that come into the district. And now this piece here will break out what we spent as a district. And so in this slide here, you're going to see the unrestricted general fund expenditures. And it's broken out by all of the classifications, object codes. And so for these right here, you have your certificated salaries, you have the employee benefits, you have our all of our operating budget is here. Capital outlay, other outgo. So as a whole, we had estimated that estimated actuals we were going to spend about $310 million. We ended up spending about $302 million with an $8.6 million swing down. We also have on the restricted side of the general fund, same types of expenditures, it's just these funds are restricted. And so for these right here, you'll see that there was we expected to spend about $131 million when we did our estimates, and we ended up closing the books at $128 million, so it's a 2.5 downward. Right here, this is our general fund, other sources changes. So these are our
transfers in, transfers out, contributions, and the contributions are what we make to other funds that we support within the district. And we had estimated we were going to have a total of 49 million going out, and it ended up being 51 million with the increase of about approximately 2 million. And then on the restricted side, where we had taken from in the prior slide, this is where we put into. So it stays within our district. We're just taking from the general fund that's unrestricted, and we're supporting other programs that don't necessarily have enough dollars to support themselves. And so you'll see right here, this is what the receiving side of those dollars from the prior slide. And then our general fund ending balances overall. So our unrestricted, we had thought we were going to end with 85 million. We ended up ending with approximately 92 million. On the restricted side, we had estimated 7.9 million, and we ended up with about 14 million. So overall, the district total, unrestricted and restricted combined, we ended up having 14.1 million, a change in fund balance upward. This right here is our ending fund balance assignment. So when you look at our ending fund balance and you say, okay, here's how we ended, now what are we gonna do with some of those dollars, right? And so we have set aside 50,000 for our revolving cash. We have about 961,000 for prepaid expenditures, and what that means are items that we had to pay for in the prior year, but it's really gonna be for 1920, so we have to call that out, right? In the restricted fund, we have 14.4 million set aside. We have our economic uncertainty, which is 2%, and that's mandated by state level that we have to follow. And then we have our vacation payable liability on the books, about 2.1 million. And then you're gonna see that there's some dollars that we've earmarked for technology lease, for our textbooks, and then one new one I'm gonna call out is school site allocations, where we are going to be committing dollars for the school sites for a number of different items that they might need. We also have our reserve for contingency for deficit spending, and then the declining enrollment, and we have that at 5 million. All those totals tie back to our ending fund balance of the $92 million. This right here, I wanted to call out our carryover breakdown. So in our LCAP, we have $3.6 million that's going to be carried over into the new school year. We also have a total of $431,000 in donations. Now the donations piece, that's an accumulated amount of donations. That could be different sites, different departments. And so we look at all the donations within the district and we add those up to know that that's going to be carried over to the new year for them to continue to use whatever was donated. Other programs, we have 3.9 million. And so as a total carryover for the district, unrestricted and restricted, is $8 million approximately. This right here, what I just showed you was general fund 3 and 6. Right here is a breakdown of all of our other funds. So we have the charter fund, adult ed. We have our child development fund. And it goes all the way down to speak about nutrition, building fund, different funds we have within the districts. And I just notate for you all their ending fund balances so you are aware how we're ending in all those areas as well. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Okay, so I had a question. Can you go back to that slide where it showed the different allocations? Let me see. This one. Is that one? Where you have school site allocations. So each school site gets a certain amount per pupil, I understand. Is that what that is included in that?
You're referring to the school site budgets that we have in place that are per pupil, and this is in addition to that. And I can allow Ms. Susanna to speak on more specifically this piece here.
I'll be happy to talk a little bit about that. So what we have been discussing in different discussions with some of the principals is that a lot of them have items that they thought they were going to receive. For example, their cutoff year, their fiscal year ends June 30th. So a lot of them were planning to do things and it, for whatever reason, didn't get done. A purchase order could have been canceled. Timing wise, it didn't happen. And so I've had a number of discussions with principals about the intent was to spend that money on something. And so we are allowing them and have some discussions of allowing them to carry over, in addition to there's carryover limitations on their Title I carryover and their lottery, which is their discretionary funds. But because there's different needs, some of the things that I know we've discussed, a lot of them are related to furniture, blinds, safety, cameras have been another. As I'm working with them, we are going to allow them to carry over more than they are typically allowed to make these one-time purchases. This, I think, is due in effect to there was a transition, obviously, in the business department. And so, you know, when transitions take place, people think things were going to happen and they weren't happening. And so for this 1 year, I did ask if I could work with them and allow them to carry over some of those funds so that we could get them the items that they needed moving forward. And then on the commitment from business is to work closer with the school sites so that they're aware throughout the year of what those funds are, so that we don't run into, at the end of the year, we thought something was going to happen and it didn't. And so this is that dollar estimate that we have at this time.
So the regular school site budget, where does that come in?
That is already budgeted, so they are already reflected in your 1920 expenditure categories. Every spring, you're working with your school sites and departments, and they're planning out what categories their budgets will be spent in. All of that is already reflected in the 1920 expenditures. This is simply a detail of the ending fund balance, or part of the reserve, the money that fell out that we thought we were going to spend and didn't get spent.
Right. I think the point I'm trying to make, and maybe I'm not doing too good of a job at it, is that I know that money comes to the school sites, and that each site, I think, has the autonomy and their own committee to decide how that budget money that comes to them is spent. So some school, not all schools then give the same amount to every teacher for classroom supply money, because that's a decision made at the site. I don't know, I know that our job as board members is to set direction, not to get down really to the nitty-gritty, but I would like to see some way of increasing that classroom supply budget money. And I don't think we have really the authority to do that, but we could give the sites a little bit more so that then they would have more to work with as far as increasing classroom supply money, because I think that's a concern that many, probably all teachers have. Certainly when I was a teacher, that was a concern of mine. How much classroom supply money am I getting? And it's never, ever, ever enough, because you could just spend millions of dollars in your classroom, but you're never going to have that. So could you just talk a second about that, or what you think?
Mrs. Smith, today, Mr. Peden and other board members have asked me about this, about classroom, supplies. So I, did a real deep dive today. I visited 5 schools and spent a lot of time there and talked to people. And, I appreciate what you said, that different schools have different philosophies, and that's been one of the hallmarks of our school district that the unions have worked with us on, is to give autonomy and the ability to determine what they need at their school sites. So I know there's like different discussions on this, but I went to 5 schools today. I went to Creekside, I went to Serrano, I went to Badger Springs, I went to Chaparral Hills, and Hendrick Ranch. And when I visited there, I walked extensively to every classroom that I could get to. At Hendrick Ranch, they were having an earthquake drill when I was there, because we had an earthquake today. But I talked to people, and they said to me, Mrs. Smith, at these 5 schools, we have everything we need, Dr. Kedzura. Why are you asking us all this? I said, well, there's some concern that you may not have the supplies that you need. And I said this over and over to different teachers, and they said, well, if we need anything, we know to go to you, and you help us. I mean, they said, do you know who said it or where? I said, I don't know that, but I'm just doing some dipsticking today, and I'm going to find out, what I can. I talked to each principal. I said, now the one school where I did find out where they had $300 a teacher in supply budgets, she did reduce that to 160. It's not based on a budget cut, but I talked to Chris Farias, who's on the executive committee, isn't he, for MVA? And he said, Dr. Kidziora, we have everything we need. He said at our rep council meeting, there were people that talked about that there was a cut in the budget. But I think when the certain principals communicated that, we repurposed some money last year from the LCAP for the literacy initiative, and everybody was in agreement with that. But I think when it got communicated, it was communicated there was a cut to budgets. But in LCAP and in Title I, you can't buy base supplies out of those budgets. They're above and beyond. So there was no cut. It was repurposing of money. However, there's a caveat to that because the Title I money comes in higher than it was anticipated. So the schools are right back to where they were with Title I. This will all be realized in October. And then LCAP is kind of in a similar situation that they have, I think there's some repurpose, for the money to use for literacy, which everyone wanted because we want our kids to be able to read by 3rd grade so that they can go to high school and be able to read. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big push to get books in those classrooms. So they didn't lose the money really, they're getting it in different services. So the general fund, which supplies the school supply budgets, that was not cut. And so they all get the same amount of money that they have received. However, when they heard discussions about it, when you hear this, well, that got cut, or you can't get this. I don't know, different interpretations. But in those 5 schools that I visited today, I was pleasantly, encouraged by them that the district, like every teacher I spoke with at these 5 schools said, Dr. Kidziora, I feel like the district, has done everything that when we've asked for something, and our principal does work with us. We have a budget committee, because I asked about the process, but I spent, from the time I left y'all at Moreno Valley High School until I got back here today about 3 o'clock, at these 5 schools, because I wanted to, I know this is an issue, but I do want you to know that as a superintendent and as the cabinet working together, we don't want teachers not to have what they want or what they need. I don't want to say what they want, but what they need. Because we expect that children will have pencils and paper and Chromebooks and whatever supplies they need. And those are all being addressed in different, like we had to replace some Chromebooks this year. So those students are getting their Chromebooks. We don't charge people for textbooks. If they lose them, we ask them to pay for them, but if they can't, we replace them. So we do, and I make sure, I really go out to schools and I look for what you don't have or if something's not working. And I can tell you that people are in here like Tanisha, I've come to you, your team, and I've said, help me get this for a classroom. So I think sometimes, like what you said, Mrs. Lopez, about the purchases, sometimes they were delayed, there was a transition. So people, Jolynn Neal, you're sitting out there and smiling. You were in a JFMC meeting the other day, you were looking at the balances at each school, and you saw that there's a hefty, they have a hefty balance. So I just think that they need to have some more communication about this. And I talked to Chris Farias today, and he said, Dr. Kidziora, what you're explaining is what we are going to explain again at the Rep Council. We met with Maribel Maddox, and Lisa Broomfield explained it to us. So I think people, may have perceived there was something, but why would we be cutting their supply budgets when you're looking at what we have here? We would not do that, and nor would we want to. We want people to have what they need in order to teach with. And so I've made a commitment since we've had this discussion, just so y'all know, to really do deep dives at schools and go into classrooms. And I plan to go into some more tomorrow. But I just, I think, like Chris, what he told me today, Chris Farias, he said, Dr. Kidzer, I think it was the way it was communicated, the way it was explained. And I think people, if somebody didn't get something, they thought it was because they cut this or that. He said, but there was actually no cut. He said, our principal did reduce our supply budget to $160 per teacher. But she did tell us this: when I get more money and when I get the carryover in October, I'm giving it all back to you. I just needed, there were some uncertainties. You've addressed those with principals. And, I mean, I think it's all being worked out. But, you know, I'm sure there's something that we've missed. But I do want you to know it is an intentional effort on our part and very purposeful and deliberate to make sure that we go into classrooms. And if there was something that wasn't received or they didn't get something, we want to make sure that they get it. And I want to thank you, Tanisha, in purchasing, because you've, you know, there's 19 pages of purchase orders and purchases in the board agenda. That doesn't happen without, you know, getting people things. So, you know, I know there's a lot to do, and I think, you know, we're working on it, but I think it's something just because of the transition in business services from the chief business official, and then the communication of this repurposing of the LCAP money, and then the unknown of the Title I. You know, I just think there were a lot of different variations or iterations of a story, and I think we need to do a better job of communicating that. I talked to all the principals about that in the 5 schools that I was in. Of course, they each said, well, you know, I'm going to call somebody when you leave here. And I said, I want you to. So I said, please spread the story and help out. Because when I was at one school at Chaparral Hills, she said, Dr. Kidzer, I'll tell you where they cut the supply budget. I said, okay, I'd like to know. She said, Hendrick Ranch. So I get over there, and the principal says, well, I worked with the staff, and I told them. And so then I went to Chris Farias, who's the executive on the executive board. He said, that's true, Dr. Kidzer, that's what happened. But we're willing. We know that she's going to give it all back to us, but there's nothing we need right now. And, you know, I was glad to hear that. So.
Thank you. I did talk to Ms. Maddox about this, I think that was last week, and she said principals know that if they come to us at the district office, that they will get what they need if they really need something they don't have. So thank you for explaining that.
So did we think that they needed something and they weren't talking?
Mr. Payne.
It's not a way to get something if you want something, and you have to talk for it. Type of thing.
So I just want to say thank you very much to our cabinet and to our superintendent for being extremely proactive. I'm very proud to be a part of a district that, as a representative in this community, when things are brought to me, I'm able to share it with you, and especially you, Dr. Kidzer, and you guys are like on it very quickly. And also, thank you for being extremely transparent. I think for me, being a part of this meeting today has shown really how government should work. Extremely transparent when issues are come about. Let's get the information out. Let's make sure that we go figure out what's going on, and we're in a public meeting and we're sharing information. So this is a great example for our community. I want to thank all of you as well as everybody else for sharing so much great information with the agenda items that we have, so all of our questions can be answered and we can do a great job for our community. So thank you very much for being so proactive. You know that this issue in terms of school supplies is a very important issue for me, and making sure that our teachers have what they need, and of course all staff. And I just want to thank you again for being so proactive. It means a lot.
I do want to tell you one thing, Mr. Pete. One of the things I found out, and I did know this already, but I was talking to Ms. Lopez about this. You know, sometimes you'll get letters home that say we need tissue, and teachers sometimes do that, and because the tissue that we get is not this good kind of tissue like this. So when we order it, it's kind of rough, and so that's why they want you to help them get the nice stuff, and people do that because we got this donated, a lot of this. I don't know if you know this, that came from a tissue company, so. Yeah, I mean, I was like, why can't? But then I was like, well, they can get it, but they don't like the kind we get, So it is a little rough.
I also want to add the idea that I appreciate the work you're doing, and going into the school sites, because I think sometimes the autonomy is good per school, but we do want some consistency on what our teachers have. And sometimes we have new principals, they're not sure, so they're not sure, should I buy this or let them buy it or not? So, I think, again, thank you. And I know sometimes orders get lost, and a teacher may think something's been ordered and it hasn't been ordered. I really, again, I appreciate it being a priority.
Any additional comments or questions? Mr. Johnson, you have any? Well, I just have to say, how do I say this? I work very close with the superintendent in my position as board president, and it's not only the supplies, but it's just about everything in the school district. Wherever we go, wherever he goes, and I'm standing right next to him, I may be looking on my phone, I may be looking at something else, but I'm listening to the conversations that he's having with staff. And I can tell you, every single time somebody asks for something, or he asked, like he said, what do you need? Are you okay? Do you have everything you need? And all that stuff. And I've seen him, I've heard him many times saying, we'll get it. And then he is always on the phone, and you're wondering, what is he doing on the phone? Well, you know what he's doing? He's sending messages to his staff, telling them, this is what we need here, this is what we need there. I've seen that happening because, sometimes I wonder, well, what is he putting attention to this? Well, he is. In fact, he's being proactive because he's sending stuff right there for people to know what needs to be done, like right away. So it's not like, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. He's doing it as he's having the conversations. So, I don't have any doubt that he is willing and he's always committed to make sure that everybody has what they need. So, I also appreciate you mentioning about the transition because, we've seen this happening at the county office. We see it all the time. There's a new CBO, there's a new business manager, there's a new person here and there. There's always a lot of changes, and it takes some time to adapt to the new system or to the new person. And you see it in the documents, you see it in the actions, you see it in the presence and many other ways, but you see there is a change. And many times we don't even know there's a change in personnel. I'm talking about the county office. We don't even know there's a change, but we just notice it in the paperwork. This is not the normal work of the person that I know. Something is happening there, so there's a new person. So I'm glad you're mentioning about the transition because some of these things, even just the style of the presentation and things are a little different. Of course, you've been here, but it's noticeable that there's a new person here. So I truly appreciate showing exactly what we have, where we are, and all those things. And it shows, like the superintendent said, why would we or why would they be cutting anybody's budget or anybody's appropriation, having all those reserves, all those and the fund balances and things.
Well, I do want to say, because of this discussion and what was told to me, I did find one school where this did happen. And so it was a very good discussion I had there today with them, but I found out why, and now I know what's going to happen in the future. But I mean, it did happen, like that did happen at that one school, and the other principal told me about it. She said, I'm gonna tell you where it's at, Dr. Kenziora.
Yeah. So I also want to say that, I'm taking liberty here to say that when people that are listening here, that when people need something, they need to come up. They need to say it, and so that the superintendent knows and he can act on it. Because if people are complaining about not having something but they don't say anything, it's never going to happen, So the superintendent needs to know, and I'm just going to protect him on that, I guess, because he needs to know. Because if he doesn't know, he's not going to do anything. Well, he will, but he will go visit and find out. But I think it's better, having the list of where things are happening, where things are needed, and all those kinds of things. So I truly appreciate this presentation. It's very clear. I only have one question, because I'm not sure about this, but in that particular slide, in the textbooks line, you show 2.5 million. I'm assuming that is for purchasing of textbooks.
Correct.
For the new year.
Well, yes, and it's for the curriculum. Should we have to change curriculum at one time, we could afford significant amount of curriculum changes.
So my question is, how far can that amount go? Because I understand the textbooks are very expensive. I remember even in my earlier years here, the textbooks line used to be much higher than that. So how far can you go with that amount?
Well, we just did a purchase of social studies textbooks, and so what we do is we usually combine a couple of years because there'll be some carryover, because a textbook adoption for a district this size is going to take you at least $5 million, if not, I mean, it takes more. So we look at other areas, but now we're working on next generation science standards, and we're just in the throes of completing the social studies, which are on this board agenda as being purchased. So.
And this is in addition to already budgeted dollars for curriculum.
Okay.
So we have the actual budget already substantiated. This is in addition to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, again, thank you for this information. Thank you for the presentation, all the explanations, and I think we made good progress here with all these items. Any additional final questions on this item?
I don't have
If
any
not,
questions
then
on that.
I'm going to go back to the agenda, and I'm going to say we need a motion and a second to approve the 2018-19 unaudited actuals report as presented.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve that report as presented.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoaging?
Aye. 5 ayes, so the unaudited actuals report is approved as presented. Thank you so much again. Are you going to present on the next item? No. Okay. Next item is the J2B, resolution number 2019-2008, establishing appropriations called GAN limit pursuant to Article 13B of the California Constitution. Ms. Lopez, can you speak about this item, please?
Yes, and the GAN limit is part of the unaudited actuals, and I want to take this opportunity to really thank the two directors in the business office, Jessica Garcia and Jennifer Miller, for all the work that they did in preparing the unaudited actuals, as well as every other staff member in that department. They're working on it during the summer, trying to get information when a lot of people aren't in, and so a lot of hard work goes behind that. So thank you to them and to that entire department. The GAN limit is part of the unaudited actuals. It's included in that 193-page packet, but it is a compliance document. So the GAN limit is a report that is annual requirement, and it places what it is. It's a limit that is placed on the amount of the tax dollars that can be spent at state and local governments, which would include a school district. So it dictates the amount that can legally be spent. Happy to report that Moreno Valley Unified School District is within this appropriations limit, and have the resolution in front of you with the backup to certify that.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions or comments? That? No? Okay. So in that case, I'll need a motion and a second to approve the resolution number 2019-2008 as presented.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve that resolution.
Thank you.
Second. Oh, go ahead. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoaging?
Aye, 5 ayes, so that resolution is approved as presented. You know, if I can just go back 30 seconds on the previous item on the budget, I just have to say that this district is being very conservative over the years, and you see those balances is because of the conservative approach that has been taken, while at the same time, the superintendent is willing to give people what they need. The operations, the budget has been handled very conservatively over the years. Other districts are cutting positions, are reducing budgets. This district is not in that position, but it's thanks to the business department and everybody who works in that area, making sure everything is done, you know, the right way. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hoaging.
No, thank them, because they're the ones doing it. I'm not doing anything.
No, but thank you for bringing it out.
Yes, absolutely. So they deserve that credit too. So thank you to the business department. Next item on the agenda, J2C, resolution number 2019-2001 of the Board of Education of the Moreno Valley Unified School District approving the award of contract to Tony Painting for certain additional painting work at various sites. Ms. Lopez, can you explain this, please?
Yes, this was an original contract set forth that has required an increase, change orders that you can see the back of there. Because the dollar amount is of a higher amount, it requires a resolution for approval. So we are asking if we could approve this to award the contract to Tony Painting for the additional painting work at the different sites. During the summer is a busy time, right? And that's when you're doing a lot of these projects. That's when the needs arise, and so that's where the dollar amount arose from.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, then I will entertain a motion in a second to adopt resolution number 2019-2001 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, please.
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoaging?
Aye, 5 ayes. That resolution is approved as presented. Next item, J2D, updated board policy and administrative regulation. First reading of board policy 1330 and administrative regulation 1330, use of school facilities. Ms. Lopez, please.
Yes, so this is, we are following the gamut recommended updates. This increase to specifically Board Policy 1330 has a couple of changes. The first has to deal with the amount that can be charged to recreational youth sport leagues. And so if there's no more than an average of $60 in revenue generated for the month, you are to provide that free of charge. Then the second update is they are moving information regarding the polling place to this new section, which was previously in Board Policy 1400, which will be the next one that we will be asking you to review. So making a couple of standard updates to this board policy.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
No.
If not, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, can I just ask a real quick question?
Sure.
So when I was reading that, you mentioned the polling places. We're not getting rid of that. That's going to go on to a different policy, just to be clear.
Right.
It's just moving.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, there's no action here. This is just the first reading.
This is first reading, yes.
Okay. Okay, next item, J2E, updated board policy, first reading of board policy 1400, relations between other governmental agencies and the schools. Ms. Lopez, please.
Yes, so this board policy 1400 is where previously the polling place information was located. It now will be addressed in 1330, which was the one discussed prior.
Any questions or comments? Okay, there's no action here either. Next item, J3, human resources, discussion action items. J3A, variable term waiver for speech language pathology. Dr. Verdi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Holguin. We're bringing forward a waiver request for this particular position. The board will recognize that finding a speech language pathologist is a very difficult position to find. We're able to actually recruit someone from a job fair, bring this person on board, and as they're completing their credential, ask for this waiver to be approved tonight while they're finishing up in the next couple of months their final credential. They do have a preliminary credential in this area, but it's actually nice to be able to bring on board our own speech language pathologist into the district.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? If not, then we're looking for a motion in a second to approve the 2019-20 school year variable waiver.
I make a motion to approve the variable term waiver.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hoaging?
Aye, 5 ayes. That waiver is approved. Okay, next item, J3B, variable term waiver for the English learner authorization. Dr. Verdi, please.
A similar item to the previous one here for the board to consider tonight, Mr. Holguin. This individual we're asking for a waiver for as they complete and continue their ROTC credential, and in this case, complete the section for the English learner authorization. So this, again, is just a term waiver to allow this employee in a very specialized area, ROTC, to complete that requirement.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? If not, then I need a motion and a second to approve the 2019-20 school year variable waiver for English learner authorization as presented.
I move that we approve the 2019-20 school year variable waiver request for the English learner authorization as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Dr. Luck.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Hoaging.
Aye, 5 ayes, that waiver is approved. Next item, J3C, approve board resolution number 2019-2011, reduction and/or elimination of certain classified bargaining unit positions effective September 11, 2019. Dr. Verdi, please.
So this is an item we bring periodically to the board for approval and consideration, and I can maybe go into a little bit more detail regarding this action and what it means for the affected employees and just how we work with the classified unit when we do bring this action forward to the board. And before I get much further, I do want to make a slight amendment to the positions being considered tonight. So they are instructional assistant positions, Mr. Holguin, but we are taking off the 2 campus support aide positions that were affecting Ridgecrest, and those employees will remain at those sites. So I just want to make that announcement now as part of the change to this particular item. The 2 CSA Ridgecrest positions will remain. So there's a number of ways that HR finds out about a need to reduce in hours or reduce a position entirely. When it comes to instructional assistants or the CSA position, when we hear from the site or from staff, it usually pertains to a reduction in the student body, or in IA's case, maybe the student has graduated or moved on, and we'll work with the SELPA on the staffing levels appropriate for instructional assistants. So we make sure we're following the due process and the ed code. We notify and sit down with Ms. Neal, the president of our local chapter, to talk about the affected employees. And again, usually what is happening with IAs in particular, the students that the IAs were responsible for have either moved on or moved to a different level or exited special education, maybe graduated. But the board also realizes that instructional assistance is a high need position in our district. So we look at this as a way to control the position and monitor for bookkeeping purposes the number of positions we have on the books and have encumbered in the budget and the needs of the sites in terms of student need for instructional assistance. So for example, with today's action, all of the affected employees have it's been discussed with Ms. Neal and discussed with Human Resources, possibilities for them to be placed in other places because we do have a need for instructional assistants at different locations. I'll give an example. A instructional assistant who had 6 hours at Canyon Springs High School is able to be relocated to a different site and actually getting some more hours, in fact, at a different site because of the fact that this instructional assistant no longer has their student at Canyon Springs. That person graduated, but we have a position at another site for that particular IA to take. So the action that happens tonight, it helps us monitor and control the number of positions out there to make sure that we're not over positioning. And then we actually do have an opportunity to sit down, and when we can, we even afford the employees an opportunity to sit down and review the options based on their seniority of where they would like to be placed. So it's really important that for us in working with CSCA that it's a very humane process and that no one is losing a position, but it's really a way for us to monitor these positions and make sure we have good budgetary control of staffing.
Questions, comments?
No, I thank you for that, description because, like you said, I knew that we, with special education, normally, if anything, we're adding, not taking away.
Yes.
And just wanting to make sure that we weren't taking them out of classrooms, where they're needed. So I assume that's what you were doing. So thank you for,
Yes.
Explaining it.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions or comments? If not, then we need a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2019-2011 as presented.
I make a motion that we approve 2019-2011.
I'm sorry if I can just chime in. It should be the motion as amended by Dr. Verde, so
Thank
we're
you.
just clear on that.
Thank you. Yes, so we need a motion to approve the resolution number 2019-2011 as amended.
As amended. So I just said it.
No.
I made the motion as amended.
Okay,
So I amended my initial motion.
okay. Thank you. We need a second, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Peden?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Locke?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hogan?
Aye. 5 ayes. So the resolution is approved as amended. All right, next item is comments from board members and superintendent. It's 10:15. You have 2 minutes each. 2 minutes each. If you want to finish by 10:30.
No, I think,
No?
I mean, some of the comments that I've had and throughout the session kind of just sums up my thoughts on tonight. I think it was a great meeting and very productive. I want to thank everybody that put so much work into making sure that all of our questions, and I just want to let the public know that our board is we ask a lot of questions, and I'm sure we put a lot of pressure on staff and our cabinet, and especially our superintendent, to answer questions when things come on our agenda. And I just want to thank you all again for doing all that extra work and dealing with us. I do appreciate it, and it means a lot. And I won't make any other furnace. I do have some comments that I wanted to mention in regards to some of the public comments that were made today, although I know those are sensitive. So I'll just step back and just trust that our cabinet and our superintendent are dealing with that issue. That's a major community concern. Thank you.
All right. I think the most major thing that has happened, other than the start of school, since our last board meeting was the Joint Leadership Summit that occurred right after our last meeting. And it was really well done. It was, I think, very informative and very productive for everyone that was there. I'd especially like to thank all of the sponsors. I was looking yesterday through the list of donors, and a lot of those people donated for the Joint Leadership Summit, and I appreciate all of the donations that were made that help us to function as a district and to train our leaders and the people in our district. I also went to a number of back-to-school nights as well as a walkthrough at Creekside. I always enjoy going in the classrooms. Perhaps it's just my heart is in the classroom, and I love to go through the classrooms to see what teachers are doing. Makes me a little bit nostalgic. It's hard to give that up, but I appreciate all the efforts that all of our teachers in our district are making. So thank you, and the best thing that happened today was the ribbon cutting at Moreno Valley High School. To see that great field and the enthusiasm of the students and the staff and everyone that was there, it was a great, great event, so thank you.
Okay, I've had the opportunity to see 3 out of the 4 high school football teams play, at least at 2 of the stadiums, and I agree, the fields are beautiful. And I attended, 3 of the back-to-school nights, and I do want to talk about 2 of them. I went to Northridge, Moreno Valley High School, and Moreno Elementary. And the thing about Moreno Elementary that amazed me, I wanted to commend the teachers, the administrative, and classified staff for the work they've done to create a positive learning environment for the students in a very old school. I mean, it was very heartwarming. And I'm really glad that they are getting a new school, but it was just, it was very obvious the love of that school and the learning environment. And at Moreno Valley High School, having taught there almost 30 years ago, it was gratifying to see, the new building, the science rooms, and especially impressive was the technology that I saw in place. And I know that looking forward, and I know one of the goals of Dr. Kazior too, is as we move through the school and we modernize, that we expand our technology in the classrooms. And last but not least, the Pacific on Sunday, I went to the Pacific Crest Drum and Bugle Corps end of the year banquet. Wasn't quite sure what I was going to, but it was absolutely phenomenal. The talent of the students and the dedication of the people that were involved. It's really, they created a dynamic group. And so, again, and I want to thank Dr. Katsura, the administrative, certificate, and classified staff for getting this year off to such a wonderful start. And I'm looking forward to the more successes this school year.
You done? I am done. Is it 2 minutes? Dr. Katsura, I want to thank you for ensuring that the citizens of Moreno Valley got what they wanted. And one of the things that they told us a few years ago was that they wanted a a football field at Canyon Springs. And they also told us, as you remembered, that it was over 30 some years that we, the district, had been promising them that one was going to be built. And then when you all came out with I think the Measure M, and we went around and talked to some folks in the neighborhood, and we had those meetings. If you remember, all of the folks that met with us all said, yes, we'll sign, we just want a field. So I bring that up because when people take a look at the football fields that they see today, they may think that it's just something that was going to happen at some point. It didn't just happen that way. You and Mr. Hogan and myself, and the reason I mentioned us three, because we were there before you guys, got involved and started. But we remembered how the people used to complain at Canyon, and we also remembered how people used to complain at the other schools because their fields were not adequate. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I thank you for is that rather than piecemeal, do one at a time, like getting just Canyon Springs first, we started working on all of them. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the finance people over here and the HR, all you guys. But one of the things that you did was made sure that all of those fields were of quality. And just like you would do in the classroom, make sure that all of the students and the teachers have all the supplies they needed. And I think that you did the same thing here. It is something to be proud of. I also want to mention, too, that last night I was passing by Valley View, and it was dark night. And I saw all these cars, and I saw the football lights on. I was wondering, why would those lights be on? So I went over there, I parked my car, and I saw a football game. I'm thinking, who is playing? Why don't I know about this? Little Leagues. It was Little Leagues. So I stopped, I can talk to anybody, so I stopped a dad and with his 3 kids, little kids, and he told me that was his first time there, but he wanted to come because he had heard about that field, that red field. So my point in bringing that up is, I want to thank you again for allowing the coach to have some input into what he wanted, and the students. And so now we see that it's becoming what his dream was, that people are going to, want to come out here. And so I asked myself last night, why did they choose Valley View? Why didn't they go to Moreno Valley or some other place? It's also a new field there. And I think the reason they went there is because of that red field. So thank you. You and I sat in a meeting together. You remember when we first heard it ourselves, I was like, red? But that's what he wanted. Now we can see his vision. So again, because of what we did in a school district, the city is profiting because of it. And thank you very much and all the hard work you and your cabinet did to bring that. Now, since I'm on TV and on the mic, to the citizens of Moreno Valley, you got 4 brand new fields. One of the things that Dr. Ketzior did last Friday, and he claims he did it from me, which I don't care, I'm happy. But the stands at Vista del Lago last Friday was full. Appreciated that. Now, the visitor side was not, and that's a different story. But I will tell you, I was very satisfied. Now, the reason I'm talking about that is because citizens, you are paying. You helping us pay for those football fields. Come out on Friday. If you don't have the money, see me. I'll help you. I live, what's your street address? I will give you some funds. But, all joking aside, come out and get behind these kids just like last night. And I got to bring this up last night. I went in the stands last night at where were we? Valley View. No, not Valley View. Canyon Springs, and I went in the stands just to talk with some of the people there because I like to do that, to kind of like break ice and for myself. And then when I asked the lady and her daughter what was their names, because I was going to talk about them, once I got to the mic. But one of the things that deterred me from doing that, I think 3/4 of the people last night was doing this. They were fanning. They were so hot in that gym. I had to address that. I let them know that Dr. Ketziora, our superintendent, was working on that, and they will have AC one day, and it's going to be soon. I told them I could not give them a date. I know, but I mean, that was last night, and I didn't have it in front of me, so I had to say something. But I told them that, and I think they got happy, and I had to go back and apologize to the lady and her daughter because I did not mention them. You know, I was only given the 1 minute rule, so I had to, had to sit back down. But the point is, we know how much those people need that AC in those gyms because we do have it in Moreno Valley. And again, I want to thank you and your team for working towards making sure those things happen. And I was also very, very happy to see so many men, fathers at a high school last night, to the point where I asked the ladies that were there to stand up and give them a round of applause, and they did that, because I have never seen that many men at a high school back to school night. And I think that's because they've been energized about the things that they've seen that's happening in the district. So again, you're in the cabinet, and that's the board as well, so thank you all for that. I really appreciated that. We had a very good time last night. Many people think in the fields. I already talked about the fields and the gym. And someone asked me today too, why didn't I run to catch the pass? I got scared. So just in case you want to know, I got scared, so that's why I didn't do it.
Mr. Johnson, I think I'm the one who asked you that question. I was really curious.
Yeah, well, now you know the answer.
So I'm glad you answered that for everybody.
Yes. We also attended Pacific Crest Awards ceremony and luncheon in Brea last week. A lot of the things happen in Moreno Valley Unified that nobody knows about. We had Pacific Crest. We've partnered with them. They're a band, drum and bugle corps. I know you're going to talk about that more because you on that board, but I will say one thing, man, those guys, they are the greatest. I'll leave the rest for you to talk about since you on the board, and we waited for you the other day until you got done with your board meeting, so I'll leave that for you. And so back to school night, wonderful. I enjoyed being at Canyon Springs. So I'm going to close with my quote because I'm going to skip some of it because of the hour. Now you guys, no. I'm giving you a break. When you guys bring up things, I don't say nothing. I just listen. So I'm giving you a break by skipping some. So let me close by saying, it always seems impossible until it is done. Nelson Mandela.
Great, 1:59.
That's right.
So I had my list of things, but I only have a minute, so I'm not going to go through all my stuff.
Use 1 of my minutes.
Because you already mentioned the superintendent in his report, and you already mentioned all of this stuff. Just because he said Pacific Crest, I'm part of the board, and I just have to say that they're very pleased, very, very thankful for having the partnership with the district because they come and practice here during the summer, and the practice here for 3 weeks or so helps them as they go through their national tour. So they are extremely thankful, and that partnership keeps growing. It's going to benefit more of our students here in the future, I know. So I just wanted to mention that because Mr. Johnson mentions it. But I want to leave more time for the superintendent to make his comments. But I just want to say, in addition to all those things that you mentioned, all of you mentioned, we also visited the nutrition services meeting, the coaches, athletic directors meeting, and the Vista del Lago High School ribbon cutting ceremony. Nobody mentioned that, so I mentioned that.
Good.
And I think everything else was mentioned. But I just want to say, to close my comments, thank you, board members, for questions and comments. Everything was right on target. Thank you, all of you, for being here this late, for everybody who came to the meeting. And I want to leave more time for the superintendent for his comments. Thank you so much.
I'm not going to take that much time, but thank you, Mr. Holguin. I just want to say that, Daryl Scott, you're here, and Anna E. Velasco. Anna E., you're new to our district, and I just want to tell everybody, as our public information officer, and Daryl, how collaboratively you all work together to resolve issues in our district. And today we had an earthquake, and I really appreciated the response and how you sent something out to the staff, because people didn't know really what had happened. I was at an elementary school, And I did not know they had an earthquake when I was there. And this kid, this little kindergarten student at Hendrick Ranch said, "Don't you know there's an earthquake?" And I thought, no. I thought, that's why y'all are out on the field? I didn't know why they went out there. But I do want to say that since you've been here, Daryl, and Anna, you're new, but what you've done in the short time you've been here, I see a heightened degree of attention to safety and security. Today I was at Badger Springs Middle School, and I'm sure you're aware, Daryl, they're going to have a lockdown drill. Well, the teacher was teaching the students about it, and I observed the lesson, what she was doing. But one of the things kids told me when I had an LCAP meeting with them was that our teachers don't take our drills seriously, and we want to be in a classroom where teachers take the drills seriously. This teacher, and I wish I could remember her name, she was taking it seriously, and the students were taking it seriously. And so I just want to compliment both of you for your communication and what you do to bridge, security and safety, but communication to families and parents when something happens. And I think that's really important. And I also want to thank, Jason Ramirez, who's here. He's our new Executive Director of Special Ed. And I want to thank you for what I saw today in that alternative dispute resolution. I think that's a needed benefit value to our community. And I really appreciate how you worked with that family today. And I do want to say to the families that came tonight, Mr. Peden, I appreciate what you said about it's a sensitive issue. I do want you to know that we continue, and I want to thank Jason Barney because this happened in the summer, in August, when we were not in school, and Daryl Scott, you helped. And, it was a combination of team of people talking, but and Dr. Verdi has helped with the employee, working to make people feel like and to know that we care and that we are taking action and we do take it seriously. So each of you played a critical role in developing that understanding to the point where I'm texting with the families now, and I wanted them to have that because I want to know what they need or what's happening. I do want to remind everybody in the morning at 8 o'clock we have a 9/11 ceremony, and it'll be here in the boardroom, and I hope you can join us. We're very proud. We started that last year, and Greg Solomon puts that together, and it's a very meaningful event. And I want to end by saying that I was at Chaparral Hills today, elementary school, and I want to give a shout out to a young lady that was being responsible and accountable, and her name is Lena Ray. And I went into the office, and she was eating her lunch in there, and I said, "Lena Ray, why are you sitting in here?" And she said, "Because I've been talking when I shouldn't be, and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, Dr. Kedzioro." And she's a third grader. And she said, "But tomorrow, I'm going to be free." And I said, "Well, Lena Ray, that's a good thing." And I just appreciate that because tomorrow, after this board meeting, we're going to be free. So thank you.
So I forgot to say, I gave you 2 flyers. Please look at the flyers, check the dates, mark your calendars. Hopefully you can join September 23rd, October 28th. Those are really, really great meetings and training sessions. So with that, the meeting is adjourned at 10:33 p.m. Thank you so much, all of you.
Let's do breakfast at 8.
Breakfast at 8. And then are we outside again like last year?
Lena Ray.